the Jolly Roger, hitting 61 and 61. And now Aaron Judge hits his 62nd home run, the most home runs any American leaguer has hit in a single season. And the American League has been alive for 120 years. This is Judgment Day. Case closed.
That's a souvenir for a fan. So, they made a great catch out there, and they got every right to it.
Good morning to especially good morning to Aaron Judge and his 62 home runs. The pressure is off. He can move on now, play or not play his final regular season game.
Does that mean we stop breaking in to show every at-bat?
We've run out of days.
Well, we don't. The pressure shouldn't be all the way off. He's still got 11 to catch Barry.
Oh, boy. I see what we're going to do here.
See.
Now, Ravi, did you not hear John Sterling say?
American League.
And Michael Kay also used an interesting phrase, case closed.
Yeah, he did.
Case closed. I thought, and
he really Jim-Nanced that one with the Judgment Day case closed.
Major League Baseball.
As good as it gets.
Major League Baseball also kind of referenced that is the home run record.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Uh-huh.
That's incredibly dumb. Are we doing this right off the bat? Because I will.
It depends. I guess it depends on your age, your love, or if you even care about Aaron Judge hitting 62 last night, because when there was a home run race going on 20 plus years ago, it captivated America. Usually home run chases captivate America. This one seemed to anger America. Well, I'm glad that he got 62 because he's, as we said yesterday, a very likable guy.
Yes.
He's one of those Yankees that you go, okay, I could maybe... and he's doing amazing things.
He's decent money.
He wears 99. People that wear 99 are usually like, in spring training.
Really strange relief pitchers.
And he is a gigantic man who has done some unbelievable things this year. And he's not going to win the Triple Crown, but he has made a chase, and he's played really good in the outfield. So I'm happy for him. That just shows you where baseball is in this country, whether it be the Yankees, your steroids, or whatever, that a home run chase captivates us. This one seemed to anger us. And then last night you go, phew, glad that's over. Oh, and there's one more day of the regular season left.
Well, so I think there's a couple things you touched on there. Number one, it was part of what captivated us in 98 was the fact that it was two guys, right? It felt more dramatic because there was like a live home run derby happening over the course of the season. So that's because even if you remember Bonds with 73 felt way different than McGuire and Sosa in 1998.
Yeah, McGuire-Sosa chase was
a whole different thing.
Yeah,
right?
I went to the State Fair, stopped at a booth to watch both of them hit. Yeah.
Like it was a whole other thing. And so that was just 3 years before Bonds. The fact that Bonds was doing it on his own took away from the excitement and the drama of it. So Judge was kind of in that position.
And Bonds broke the record, if I remember correctly, late on a Friday night.
Yep.
It was like, by the way, Saturday morning. Oh, that happened. Yesterday afternoon.
And the other thing is, it's not even close to the actual home run record. So that's the other reason. Like if he was about to hit 74.
Case closed, Robbie.
If he was about to hit 74, I'd be like, okay.
I'm with you.
Let's do this, Aaron Judge.
Case closed, 62.
And listen, I agree with you. I'm happy he got to 62. I like Aaron Judge. Even as a Red Sox fan, I like Aaron Judge. But can we be serious here for a minute and recognize that this is a joke? Anyone that thinks this is the real record is a joke.
No. That's not, joke is not the right word. Bonds has 73, and there should be an asterisk next to that, and everybody that follows that is in that same category, an asterisk. Aaron Judge's 62 will not have an asterisk.
I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
I am being serious.
So here's my issue. I understand this. It's the steroid era umbrella, the stink, right? I get that. But Babe Ruth didn't play against black players. Where's his asterisk? Greenies were illegal with Roger Merritt. Where's his asterisk? We have no idea if Aaron Judge is on anything. We have no idea whatsoever. We're just going to pretend, again, when nobody else is hitting home runs.
Yeah, but he would have, somewhere along the line, there would have been something.
Why would we think that?
Because they drug test him a lot.
I understand that, but
they drug test him a lot.
Here's the thing about performance-enhancing drugs. The drugs are always ahead of the testing. Always.
Yeah, but he's been in this long enough that somewhere along the line he would have been tripped up.
Maybe.
He would have taken some cream to take care of a cut on his finger.
I'm just saying, and maybe it's not even a traditional performance enhancer the way we think about steroids, right? And I'm not saying he's on anything, because he might not be. He's just a giant freak show of a human being. But throughout baseball history, we ignore all of these other mitigating factors. But the steroid era is the one where we're like, whoa. Like, nobody cares about that. Bob Gibson, some of his best seasons happened before they lowered the mound. Nobody cares. Everybody's okay with it. Everybody just ignores the fact that before 1947, there was not a single non-white player in the league. Mm-hmm. How many non-white players in the league now? There's quite a bit, right? The Hispanic population contributes quite a bit to baseball, don't they, Gary?
That'd be correct.
You're telling me that the numbers would be the exact same if Black and Dominican and Hispanic players were playing with Babe Ruth?
We have no idea. I'm only going off this year. I'm only going off this year.
That's my point, though, right? We have no idea. Mm-hmm. We have no idea how many pitchers were on steroids in the steroid era as well. And they weren't even testing for it, by the way. And when those records were set, they were not testing yet.
I'm going to say that there were very few pitchers that were on steroids, just because of you would not have the same effect.
I disagree dramatically. I think they were less on the bodybuilding steroids.
I don't. Okay. I don't think there were. Okay. Just because of the dynamic of what a pitcher does.
I understand.
In terms of performance enhancing.
I understand that. My point is, there's a lot of different types of performance enhancers, and one of their big things is recovery, right? Pitchers could use that. That's my only point, is that we really have no idea. Like you said with the Babe Ruth thing, we have no idea. So I have a hard time completely discounting the entire era, because we don't know. We have no idea. The fact of the matter is, Bonds never tested positive.
He did not. That's correct.
Never tested positive. Didn't even have the bottle of stuff in his locker like Mark McGwire did, where you could kind of be like, I mean, I know you didn't test positive, Mark, but the bottle's right there. I can read. You know what I mean? So that's why I have a hard time with the conversation.
It was kind of interesting. They used case closed. Both of them did. And then Major League Baseball alluded to it as well when they were tweeting out stuff about Aaron Judge's
I think Major League Baseball would really like this to be the record. Unfortunately for them,
we were all there.
It is seventh all time.
You have a lot of people that are in your corner. I mean,
you're more of a baseball guy than me, though.
So this is a great debate, and I think it falls into the lines of your age,
sure,
whether you care or not, whether you say Major League Baseball embraced the McGwire-Sosa chase, so all of a sudden we're going to go back and change history. And like, oh, no, because Major League Baseball, Bud Selig was riding in the sidecar saying this is the greatest thing to happen in baseball, which
100%,
which it actually was.
It was terrific.
Fun. But what happened then affected, in my opinion, not only baseball dropping back to maybe the third most popular sport in this country, is it affected any enthusiasm for Judge, because it became forced. It felt like Major League Baseball was forcing it. Again, I'm glad he hit it, because you could see that pressure was starting to mount.
Yeah, earlier in the day,
pressing. He got frustrated. They played a doubleheader yesterday, and he got frustrated. And you saw one time he came back and he slammed his helmet, which he's a guy that doesn't show a ton of emotion.
No, he's pretty even keel.
So I'm glad he hit it, and I hope he doesn't play today. I mean, I think he's played like 50-plus straight games.
Yeah.
Which in this day and age is kind of unheard of for somebody like him. I hope they give him the day off, because he's got 62. A guy in Dallas who brought his glove to the game is going to be rich beyond his wildest dreams.
Can he buy the Cowboys with his money?
I think it's only about $2 million.
I was going to say,
that's estimated is about $2
trillion.
Yeah. First of all, that guy. So here is in the moment. The guy's name is Corey. So he's from Dallas. He brought his glove to the game. He is not a vice president of an investment firm. He is like a branch manager. Now, I don't know what a branch manager makes in an investment firm. They probably do pretty well.
Probably does okay.
But vice president to branch manager,
it's a different deal.
I might not be the smartest guy in the world, but I know the level of income is a little bit different.
Pay scale is going to be a bit different.
Yeah. So good for him. And he's, I always say, if I would catch it, and thank God it wasn't what's his name? Zach Hempel, who is the ball hawk.
Yeah.
Who goes everywhere and steals home runs from people.
Yeah.
Thank God it wasn't him. Okay, this is a normal fan who's
just a guy.
Wife happens to be a sportscaster. Okay, it's ideal. It's like that guy got an ideal world. He's involved in money. His wife's a sportscaster, and he brought his glove to the game and he caught Judge's 62. Is you sleep on it and you think about what you're going to do with it.
Yeah,
and they whisked him away. I mean, Major League Baseball security was right there, so he did the smart thing. I think the guy had thought about
the
this.
Golden ticket.
Well, he caught it, okay, and everybody wanted to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the person from Major League Baseball came down and he slowly opened his glove, and they saw it and he closed it, and then they whisked him away.
Mm-hmm.
And they took him to an undisclosed area, probably to authenticate the ball.
They did, yeah.
And then to probably, I would think there would be somebody from the Yankees there, along with Major League Baseball, that initially would try and engage.
Start negotiating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he says, I just want to go home and I want to sleep on it. And now everybody in Dallas knows who this guy is. I mean, his name is published everywhere.
Yeah.
The place that he works was published in the Dallas Morning News. I know this guy's going to have to go to the witness protection program.
Like, I got to call in. Why?
But he is now, that's life-changing money. And the guy that was 10 seats over that dove over the railing into the pit, thinking that you told me before we went on the air, thinking the ball's going to deflect and it's going to go down there and I'm going to be right there.
It's actually a good move.
But somebody said if that would have happened, they would have arrested that guy.
Sure.
Like I think they got him out of the building. They let him watch the end of the game, but he got whisked away.
Yeah.
Not holding a baseball, but with his hands behind his back. like what happens if it would have bounced down there?
He gets it.
And he gets it.
And then gets arrested.
They take the ball away, right?
I don't know.
Because he's in an area that he's trespassing.
Unauthorized?
Yeah.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I don't know what would have happened in that scenario. I will say, yeah, so they actually took a video, I don't know if it was Major League Baseball or whoever, of the guy that actually caught it being whisked under the stadium. They're like, hey, we're authenticating and whatever the ball to make sure that everything checks out. But here's what I don't understand about Major League Baseball teams with these historic home runs is why don't they make a cash offer? Because they're always like, you can have a bat signed by Aaron Judge.
Oh boy, bat.
So they
or
do.
You can have season tickets.
So at Yankees, there were a couple of representatives from the Texas Rangers that were not in seats, but were near both left and right field in the lower and upper deck of the outfield. And then there were a couple of Yankee officials that were like in the concourse in the outfield to go quickly.
Yeah.
When Judge was when they were playing at home, they had Yankee officials in the outfield so that right when that home run was caught, they would go up immediately and say, hey, I'm Jimmy Chavez from the New York Yankees. Can you come with us? And then that's where they negotiate. I mean,
but usually the teams don't make a good offer in terms of like market value. Yeah. They're like, you can have season tickets next year.
You can have a hoodie.
Because you know why? Because it doesn't, to be honest, this is where it hits you from the fan to the player.
Yeah.
Memorabilia means more to us.
Sure.
When.
But on 62 though, or Pools is 700. There's a handful of them that I feel like matter to the players.
It would be nice, but I don't think Aaron Judge lost sleep last night because he doesn't have the ball. So it's memorabilia means more to us. I mean, don't you always wonder when you hear stories about guys' championship rings or Super Bowl rings being on eBay, or they're selling their jerseys or whatever, they're having a garage sale, and you're like, oh my God, if I had that, that's precious to me. But to an athlete, for the most part, there are certain things along the way in their career that will always be close to them, that means something to them. It really doesn't mean anything to us as a fan, that they will hold on to tightly.
Yeah.
Where, Judge is like, hey, good for that guy. I hope he can do something with it. And you move on to the next day.
But here's my point.
But the thing, the athlete is not the one that is making the offer.
It's the club.
Yeah, it's usually everybody has the same idea. Hey, you can meet Aaron Judge, get a picture in person.
Yeah.
Signed bat, signed jersey. no,
or $2 million,
which I totally understand.
And Aaron will give you some cash.
And but with the Yankees, especially with their history and their museum and everything, wouldn't it? I mean, if they wanted the ball, which I assume they would, but that's an assumption at this point. Even if Aaron Judge doesn't want it, couldn't it just be like, hey, it's a standing $500,000 offer, and you get to meet Aaron Judge or whatever? Because I think some people would at least think about that.
Oh, $500,000?
Yeah, okay, market value. You're
so
still
a couple weeks ago, Damon and I were talking about this, and Damon brought up a good point. This guy will not give the ball back, and I'm sure that he will find a way to maybe the guy surprises everybody and he holds on to it, or he does sell it and they're estimating $2 million. But what if he said, "Hey, I got 3 kids that are in college. I got some debt. What if you guys just paid off my debt or paid off my house?"
I mean, theoretically,
that would be so outside of the box to an organization that they would have to go, okay,
yeah.
Instead of
like we talked about,
cash,
college education. It looks good. You guys paid for my kids' education.
That's true. It's a nice PR move if they're like, yeah, we're gonna send his kids to college or whatever. But that's my point: is why don't the teams make a real offer, especially if the guy wants it? Because some of the guys want it. That seems like, why just make a real offer? Just have a standing offer. Be like, hey, for a historic ball like this, we offer $500,000 if you don't, and you get to meet the guy and get whatever you want signed. But if you want to take it to auction, we get it. We understand you're going to get more, but this is the offer. That way you don't end up in like bidding wars and stuff like that. But they never offer anything real.
No, because I don't think they know. You have to start the bidding war. I think when you're going to approach somebody that has a piece of memorabilia, you think they're asking for the moon. Now, you sometimes get lucky and they say, no, I'll give it back. I just want to meet him.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, yeah.
That's what the McGuire guy did. So I think it was 70. He got the ball, asked the Cardinals offered him all this like memorabilia and signed stuff, and I think season tickets. And he's like, that would be great. I also want to meet Mark McGuire. McGuire said no.
Yeah.
And so the guy says no, and he gets $3 million for the 70 million or for the 70th ball. But it's like, you could have, like, that was a very reasonable guy at that point. He just wanted to meet Mark McGuire and give the ball back. And
that said more about Mark McGuire than anything.
So I think,
but that's what I mean.
Mark McGuire thinks that he's going to exploit him.
Yeah, probably. But in that scenario, you do have reasonable people that are just like, yeah, I just want to meet the guy. That'd be really cool. And when they say no, it's like, yeah, well, I guess I'll take $3 million instead.
Well, so if I'm this guy that caught the ball last night, I am finding Aaron Boone, and I'm going to the team hotel today, and I'm saying you cannot play Judge, because what if Judge hits a home 63 run today? Your 62 ball all of a sudden doesn't have the same value.
It doesn't.
So I'm saying, Aaron, sit Judge. Get ready. You don't have to play this weekend in the playoffs. You got to bye, sit him out, let him get some rest, let him relax. There's been a lot of pressure. Don't play him, because if he hits 63, my ball really decreases in value.
At least by half, right? I mean, people will still care.
Maybe
that it's
even
60,
more.
I think people would still care that it was 62.
Yeah.
But
63 now becomes the ball
the
that if I'm on the open market,
with
it's $2 million.
Official major league record, quote unquote. Yeah.
All right. So it is over. We don't have to worry about any shows you're watching today of Judge cutting in. And
maybe eventually the playoffs will start too.
Oh, they start on Friday.
I mean, it's already October. I'm ready to watch some playoff.
I'll say we're going well into November this year, right? That's the schedule.
Yeah, we got a unique setup. The playoffs, the wild card playoffs begin on Friday, and you've got, you don't have multiple sites. You just have the higher seed as the home team for 3 games, best 2 out of 3. Where maybe now that all the bracket is set, and this is the last day of the regular season, there are some 4 seeds that I think are better than some 3 seeds. But I don't see a wild card team this year making it to the World Series.
Who do you a Dodgers guy?
Maybe Cleveland. I think the Astros and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Even though it's tough to knock off the champ. But But the Dodgers I think the Dodgers will find a way. I mean, the Dodgers today are playing for their 111th win.
Yeah, no, I don't
quietly
think people
because they ran away with that division. Yeah, they're about to win 111. Now, you got an interesting high end and low end in baseball this year, because if the Yankees win today, because they're at 99 and 62, you have 5 teams that won 100 games, because you have 2 in one division. I mean, the Mets and the Braves both won over 100, 100 or more, and then you have I think it's because the Reds yesterday with their walk-off against the Cubs avoided 100 losses. Where you're going to have 4 teams that have 100 losses. Yeah, it's pretty high. It's pretty high and the low this year in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, well, and I think the Dodgers kind of, like you said, was kind of below the radar. And I don't know if it's because they're a West Coast team or whatever, or we've kind of been used to them being really good for the last handful of years. But yeah, they're low-key not that far off from the best regular season ever. I mean, like a handful of games, right?
And I think Dave Roberts is the manager of the year in the National League. Look at all the injuries that they've had to navigate on the mound.
Yeah.
Now, Freddie Freeman has been as advertised.
The lineup's incredible.
Mookie Betts is,
I mean, the lineup is.
Yeah, but they've
I know
navigated
all about Mookie Betts, Gary. I don't need to have another discussion about Mookie Betts. All right, I get it. He's awesome,
and he's had to navigate.
No, the
all
pitching's
the injuries on the mound.
Yes, the pitching.
And you got a closer who who the heck knows who your closer is when you get to the postseason.
Yeah, that's a super strange situation for them, because if anything's going to come to
that one coming with Kimbrel.
Well, yeah, he was really good in 2018. It's one of those situations where like that's not a weakness you want to have in the playoffs. And so you have this kind of juggernaut team, but they've got kind of this glaring red flag about them as a potential World Series team. So it's a really kind of strange dynamic because they should be the overwhelming favorite, but you're like, I don't trust the back end of their bullpen at all. So you better win every game by 5 runs.
And there are the Braves, who won the division for the 5th straight year with hardly being in first place.
Yeah, they were. How long were they in first place? Like a week, the entire year.
And they may be better than last year, and no one's really talking about them.
How about the Mets have been in first place over the last 2 years, 289 days, but they haven't been in first place on the most important day.
And have 0 division titles to show for it.
But they have Timmy Trumpet, so it's all right.
I mean, if in a short series, you do get Scherzer and DeGrom, which is helpful.
Which is a tough look for everybody else.
Yeah. Can you imagine in the New York baseball world if Judge wouldn't have gotten to 62, and then you also have the Mets who got eliminated from winning their division last night? That'd been miserable.
Yes,
that'd be tough for that town.
It would be tough,
horrible for them.
You know, I would just feel terrible for them.
Yeah.
I would just be. I'd be crying in my Fruit Loops for the Yankees fans. I would just
see. I love this is what is so good about sports is we all have our teams.
Yeah.
And we can be so damn petty.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Right now, the Braves are just giving it to the Mets.
Oh, yeah.
Fans and media personalities that were tooting Timmy Trumpet's horn about the Mets running away with the National League East when they were up 10.5. And then over a span of about 2 months, the Braves went gobble, gobble, gobble. I'm playing the Nats and I'm playing the Marlins a lot, and we're going to make up ground.
Yeah.
I mean, but you play in a division where you get the Nats who go from winning the World Series in 19 to having the worst record in baseball this year. And then you also get to play the Marlins, which is the most – I'm just going to go off here for a moment.
No, go for it.
The Miami Marlins are the most confusing franchise to me. They have 2 World Series titles.
Yep.
They also are like meandering through the desert.
Consistently one of the worst teams in baseball.
I mean, you can't even – they won 69 games, and you can't even say they had a nice season because they were below 500. Thank you. We'll be here till 10.
Well done.
Yeah, no, the Marlins are one of the most bizarre franchises in any professional sport. Just, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they broke my heart in 03.
Broke your heart? No. Oh, Cubs. Yeah. I was like, they didn't play. That was when I became a Josh Beckett fan. Yeah. I quickly stopped being a Josh Beckett fan when we got traded to the Red Sox.
All right. That is Ravi Lula, Jimmy Chavez here as well. I'm Gary Sharp. It's mornings on 1620 The Zone. I think that's what we're going to go with for now.
Just the mornings?
The mornings.
On the Twitter, we have insert show name here.
Welcome to
we've changed
the mornings.
That? Hey, can you change my picture? Can you just put a 1620 The Zone logo? I hate that picture.
Oh.
That picture's like from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I look like I'm as high as a kite.
I mean, we could get some sponsorships off that, but sure, we can change
that. I'm high as a kite?
Yeah. Gary Sharp here for pot.
What's more likely to happen? A television station in Nebraska or a newspaper use the full Mark Whipple quote yesterday, or me on the air in a place where medical marijuana is not even legal to promote, hey, they got me high and I am all ready to go from 6 to 10.
And they can get you high too.
High on life.
Hey, I noticed. So after, the Mark Whipple quote, which we will get into because he gave you real talk yesterday, which he is. I mean, Nebraska has an offensive coordinator that gives you real talk in his socks. That's who Mark Whipple is.
Yeah.
But I noticed that the World Herald instead of using, we say that a lot on this air, right? What he actually said.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm just gonna say Richard.
That's what I was
because people got kids in the car and they're going to school, and I don't want to, I don't want to have,
people calling in.
Donnie in the back seat go, Dad, what does that mean? And all of a sudden, Dad's got to pull over.
What's a Richard?
And he's got to explain to his son what that is.
I mean, ask your friends at school.
And then there goes one of our listeners, and one of our future listeners is he used. So here is the quote. Here is the exact quote. When I walk around, being a nice guy just doesn't work as well as when I'm a Richard.
Mm-hmm.
Some people tweeted it, the full quote. TV, they would not run the quote. I noticed the World Herald today inserted, instead of I'm a Richard, I'm a jerk.
Oh, they actually changed the quote.
Yes.
That's a weird move.
Illegal?
Yeah, well, I think it changes the tone of the quote.
It does.
Okay, so let me do this. So maybe this is a little impromptu question here.
Little thought exercise.
I'm a
here.
meanie face.
When I walk around being a nice guy, I mean, his quote actually is for like life.
Yeah, no, I understand.
When I walk around being a nice guy, it just doesn't work as well as when I'm a Richard. When I walk around being a nice guy, it just doesn't work as well as when I'm a jerk.
I actually think jerk is worse. Like, it makes the quote sound worse.
Yeah.
Because when the connotation of Richard, I feel like there's an understanding of, it's like, oh, you're not a bad person, or you're not actively being mean. It's just kind of an attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, if somebody tells me a person's being a jerk, I kind of put some connotations with it, where it's like, oh, they're being unnecessarily unkind. Where it's like, I kind of expect, to a certain extent, coaches to be Richards.
Yeah.
I don't expect them to be jerks. I think there's a difference there. That's a different quote to me.
Oh, yeah, and we all have them in our life that we work with. There are Richards here, and there are jerks here, and then there are a plenty of nice people.
There are.
Yeah. So isn't it refreshing? Well, and I mean, this isn't our first go around with Mark Whipple and him having a presser. Our first interaction with Mark Whipple wearing a Nebraska polo is, I could not get over the fact that he was at Chubba Purdy's house in Arizona, where Whipple has a house, and he was in socks. And then one of his first meetings with the team, he was in socks, but he has a foot issue.
Oh, okay.
So he does walk around in socks quite a bit. So he does pressers in his socks, which he was doing yesterday. And I don't think people caught that. If you had a wide angle, they were more on the quote. But isn't it refreshing? And this is, I love when any coach, whether they're wearing a Nebraska polo, Creighton polo, Omaha polo, anywhere, you don't get just pure coach speak.
Oh, yeah.
Because pure coach speak in the book 101 would never allow you to say, I'm a Richard.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, I mean, even Bo, who was pretty fiery, even Elmasian, who was dirty mouth, I don't know that we've ever had a coach here use the word, I'm a Richard.
I don't think so. It's certainly not that I can remember. And I think there's some good self-awareness there. Because, listen,
because you're being real.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's kind of the same thing that we've been talking about with Mickey Joseph, right? That's why he's so appealing to everyone, is that there's an authenticity there where it seems like you're actually talking to Mickey Joseph, not talking to some avatar robot who is just like spewing out coaching quotes. When you ask Mickey Joseph a question, you get an answer. Or he'll say, I'm not going to talk about that, which he did on Monday. He's like, we're not going to go there, which I respect. Instead of just giving some platitude nonsense, he's like, I'm not going to talk about that. Okay, great. Let's move on. Because then you don't have these follow-up ridiculous questions over and over when it's pretty clear the coach isn't going to answer, but the media kind of feels obligated to continue asking questions because he didn't say he wasn't going to talk about it. So you preach about that, and you get that same thing from Mark Whipple. I liked yesterday, kind of got lost in the Richard quote, but he was like, when he's talking about the offense and how after they score on their opening drives, they let up, and he's like, hey, we don't have the 86 Bears over there. You got to keep scoring touchdowns. And I was like, hey, that's a real honest answer about something.
No, it was he had the wrong defense.
It was. It was the wrong year. He said 86.
86 was okay.
I didn't make the mistake.
No,
he said
I'm
86.
misquoting you. Yeah, you're right.
I'm quoting him directly. I think we understood what he meant.
Now, 86 Bear defense was pretty good. But
They were
85
14-2.
That 85 Bear defense was filthy.
Soft. 14-2. Get out of here. No, but my point is,
Did you go 16? No.
how? Who cares? If you didn't go 16-0, who cares? But how many offensive coordinators are actually going to put that quote out publicly, where it's like, yeah, listen, our defense isn't setting the world on fire. We got to score touchdowns. Like, let's go. He might say that in the room, but to say that to us and to say it publicly, I just appreciated that, because everybody can watch and be like, hey, the defense is going to give up some points. You got to score.
You know somebody who puts that out there? Somebody who don't give an F, that says, you know what, boys? Let's just let it rip. We may not be here next year. We have no idea. But if we win, we might be here. So whatever happens, happens. Let's just go. Let's just go. And, and it's kind of a quote that Frost had in August about just let it rip.
Yeah.
That whole fear of failure, let it rip, never came to fruition. Now you have the OC who essentially yesterday, in my opinion, that's what he said.
Yeah.
Guys, and I don't buy the notion that you have nothing to lose. You always have something to lose. But guys, we won a football game. You know what? Enjoy it. There's some joy. Now let's go win another football game and just go out there and just play to the wall.
That's called a winning streak.
Well,
and that's been done before.
Not 3 in a row. Not here, though. We don't do that here. No, that was the other thing that he was just like, yeah, if we don't keep winning, I'm not here next year.
Yeah.
So what is there to be stressed out about? Like, yes, he loses his job. He's going to get a nice payout if he, gets let go anyway. But the self-awareness and the honesty there, from everything from the Richard quote to the I'm probably not here next year anyway, to, our defense isn't the 86 Bears, everything. And it was a fairly short press conference. He wasn't talking for a super long time.
No, it was a typical Mark Whipple.
Yeah,
press
it was a pretty brief and to the point press conference, but just in that short amount of time, you just got so much. I feel like you get way more information in that tiny press conference than you do from most head coaches that are up there talking for 20 minutes and you don't ever get a real answer.
Yep. Richard or jerk. It does change the.
It changes the tone of the quote pretty significantly. Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't just asterisk it out. Just do like the 4 asterisks there, or something.
What
or
about like D?
Yeah, put like the
asterisk CK.
Well, or like even just put the expletive in like the brackets, like they do sometimes.
What about the emoji?
It's put a peach.
I'm being an eggplant.
I don't think you two said it. I didn't. Usually I'm the one that goes there. All right, 6:42. Welcome in, everybody. It is the 1620 The Zone morning show. Coming up a little bit later on the lineup brought to you by the Roofers at John Higgins Weather Guard. Scott Shanley's going to stop by. He'll be in at 9 to talk about the NFL. Not the greatest slate of games this weekend. We're being forced the Cowboys and the Rams this weekend. And then a weekend that has the Steelers as a 14-point underdog at Buffalo. 14-point underdog. Never happened in the history of the Steelers.
I was going to say, when's the last time that happened? Never, apparently?
They were a 12-point underdog. This is a long, long time ago. But they've never been a 2-touchdown underdog with a team that defensively, it's not just TJ Watt. In the back end, they got some serious injuries. And they've got, they're playing against an offense that moves up and down the field.
Well, and you got a rookie QB now?
Yep.
That's
So Scott will stop by at 9, Brandon Vogel at 9:40 as well. Quick break. We'll come back. We'll get some calls, some emails, some tweets. Let's have fun on a Wednesday. On the day, the morning after, there might be more attention to what you will do with the ball than Judge actually hitting 62. That's where the home run chase in this country has gone.
Yeah, that's where baseball in this country has gone.
1620 The Zone.
Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Nebraska needs that underdog mentality, even if they start getting good again. And unfortunately, there's just this attitude sometimes that exists that's like, well, we've been there before, so we can get there again. Well, yeah, you can get there.
It's so many steps down the road.
You've got to have that edge.
Yeah.
And you've got to also realize where you are right now, and where you are is in a very, very, very low place.
Yeah. Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Becoming sunny Wednesday morning with more clouds moving in during the afternoon. Most will stay dry with only a slight chance of a spotty shower east of the metro. Highs around 74. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Join Genesis Health Clubs for 36 cents for their 36th anniversary and get the rest of the year free.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have one accident to report near 102nd and I Street, so please be cautious if you are in that area. Then along Industrial Road, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown from 149th to 138th. And on Center, be prepared for some delays from 192nd to 175th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Methodist Health System, the meaning of care.
When envisioning what kind of future is possible, the challenges never stop. And neither do we. Methodist, the meaning of care.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy, better sleep, blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime, and get moving. Go cardio crazy in our clean and spacious clubs, or get down with some dumbbells and strength equipment. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, October 14th. It's glow time. See club for details.
Suicide can be prevented by knowing the warning signs, and most importantly, knowing what to do if you recognize those signs in yourself, a loved one, or even a stranger. There are simple ways you can be there for someone, so they can be here for more tomorrows. Visit moretomorrowsne.org to learn the signs, how to approach the conversation, and where to get help. Or call 988 for help now. That's moretomorrowsne.org.
If you are looking for a better college fit or have completed a 2-year degree at a community college, transfer those credits to College of St. Mary and finish your degree faster. We've made transferring easier than ever. With our 2-week transfer evaluation, you'll know your credit transferability and financial aid package to College of St. Mary in just 2 weeks. And we'll help you determine all scholarships or grants available to you. Take the next step to completing your degree faster. Transfer to College of St. Mary. Apply today at csm.edu.
The 2022-23 hockey season is finally here. Omaha Hockey welcomes Niagara University to Baxter Arena this Friday and Saturday. Tickets are still available. Get yours now at omavs.com/tix or call the Baxter Arena box office at 402-554-MAVS.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Sharp on behalf of my friends at Tickets for Less. As you probably heard by now, Tickets for Less is my go-to source whenever I need Husker tickets. But I want you to know that Tickets for Less has a lot more to offer. Did you know they have the largest selection of tickets to events both locally and nationwide? Plus, the thing I like the most, they never charge you outrageous per-ticket service fees on your order. That's why I always use Tickets for Less. Whether I want to go to Arrowhead and see the Chiefs play, attend a concert or a show, ticketsforless.com is my first stop. See for yourself at ticketsforless.com.
Cubby's supports the PACE program with Raise Some Dough. For every large pizza sold at Cubby's in the Old Market, Cubby's gives $1 to the Police Athletic League, serving at-risk and disadvantaged inner-city children with athletic and educational programs. PACE has over 5,800 program participants. The league reaches kids that would not normally be able to participate in athletics like soccer and baseball due to financial situations and family dynamics. PACE wants to give every kid the opportunity at athletics and a healthy and safe environment. If you'd like to support PACE too, go to paceomaha.org.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. 1620 The Zone.
In my history, you know, when I walk around being a nice guy, it just doesn't work as well as when I'm a dick. Okay? I don't know why, and that's just what I told the kids on Monday. I said, look, man, I'm down here. Just when I have some across my rear end, guys, we just play better, and that's really what it was like at halftime.
Okay, I have a question, Gary.
Wait a minute. I'm going to give a disclaimer here.
Okay.
We apologize for any people that are offended by that quote, but we didn't want to take the quote out of context because there's a meaning to that.
Well, he's just providing us material. It would not be right if we didn't use it.
So radio can play that, but TV and newspaper cannot.
Well, cannot or chose not.
I guess newspaper can, not playing it.
Yeah.
But the exact quote.
Yeah. So I have a question there.
I mean, we're still talking about and the World Herald has their specific standards. They ran an article on Monday that said, "Do not high five kids."
Yeah, so I think they're a little bit all over their place on their editorial board over there. But
1620 The Zone, high fives kids.
I mean, we listen to what we've said on this radio station over 20 plus years. That is probably not even in the top 10 of egregious things we've said.
Listen to what we said since I've been with you.
Absolutely not. So there's a second part of that quote that I don't totally understand. And I don't know if this is an age gap thing or if somebody can provide context here. I'm just not familiar with it. When he says, "When I've got something across my rear end," I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
See, that would solicit more questions than the other one. What does he mean?
I really don't know.
Look at that word school.
I think somebody on you.
Okay.
On your arse.
Okay.
Yes.
So the get after that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's what he meant. But it's
because it's a weird phrasing for that.
There's more to what he said yesterday. And, it's almost when this is all said and done, when the season is over, and whatever happens to the likes of, a Mickey Joseph and a Bill Bush and a Brian Applewhite and a Mark Whipple and, the rest of the staff. But, how many guys are still here next year or move on? It would be a fascinating, and Trev already knows this because those guys either come to him or he's talked to him, is just kind of a whole let it out. What do you guys have been here for a year. Some of you guys have been here for 5 years. Some of you guys have only been here for a couple of years. What do you think?
Yeah.
Because Mark Whipple's perspective, and this is Mickey as well, guys that have come from successful programs that have been in different scenarios of programs, when they speak, if you listen closely, and this isn't just recently after the firing of Scott Frost, but I think this is since they've, everybody's gotten to know him and they've had a microphone in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of let you know about the inner workings of the program that they disagree with, or even some of the stuff they like, because he talked about being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back, I said this a long time ago, Ravi, you and I didn't even know each other. Nebraska football got really comfortable. And I think during this whole post-TO era, Nebraska football, because it's easy down there to get comfortable. There's a lot of nice things that you get.
Sure.
Okay. You got an unbelievable fan base.
Mm-hmm.
You play at a really, really good school. You got a lot of things at your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A lot of people want to help you.
A lot of resources, facilities, whatever.
Nebraska football has fallen into the trap during the course of time of being comfortable. Frank Solich got comfortable. Nebraska football got comfortable. The people that were the caretakers of Nebraska football got comfortable because they thought it would just come easy. And there was never a point where you became uncomfortable or a sense of urgency. And when you did, it was too late in the transition from 02 to 03. But being really comfortable started a few years before that. And that has kind of been along the lines of, hey, it's a nice place to go to school. It's a nice place to play football. They take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, man, look at all the love you get. And he said something about guys need to be uncomfortable here. You got to be uncomfortable with losing. Okay.
Yeah.
And you have to be uncomfortable, I think, also of reading too much into Saturday night. Yes, Saturday night was great. Nebraska won a football game and they've won 2 Big Ten games in
calendar year.
Yeah. Well, you should be uncomfortable because you haven't won more and you're going to want another one.
Yeah.
And his comment about being uncomfortable, which I think it is him or it is Mickey, have a little bit hinted about. We have guys that are really, really comfortable. And I'll say there are players along the line where I think they're gear grabbers. Okay. They're here. They haven't lived up to the potential. They like the gear. They like being a Nebraska football player. You get your name in the program. You get a letter jacket. You get to do everything that comes with being a Nebraska football player. And I like that he said, you know what? I want our guys to be uncomfortable and a sense of urgency.
Well,
which has not always been the case.
Yes.
And sometimes you can't squeeze a player and say, hey, the walls are caving in. I want to see how you react. Because there's some guys that don't do well with adversity. That's why, like Friday night at Rutgers, and there are certain things to like about Chiano's team, but there's other parts that you go, whoa, Rutgers is Friday night kind of is a a culture type, where is your culture at type game. Because guys have a feeling this week they haven't had in a long time, is they feel real good about a win. I mean, look at wherever you go. You go to the grocery store, you go wherever. People like around here are in a good mood.
It's weird.
The whole state is in a good mood this week.
Don't even know what to do about it.
Okay. So you don't think that's going on campus?
Sure.
Where all of a sudden that person that a week ago was like, they're like, hey, man, great game on Saturday night. Friday is short week, travel, opponent you don't see all the time. You don't know what the atmosphere is going to be like. Rutgers going to make it a big game. They got the Barstool pregame show is going to be there. You've got blackout. It's like a test of your whatever culture you have, that you go and you take what was portable on Saturday and find a way to replicate that on a Friday and see how you deal with the win. But then we don't know, Robbie, because most of those players have never dealt with success and starting to stack things.
Right. Well, and it's kind of goes against your intuition, because a lot of people will talk about how do people deal with losses? How do people bounce back from losses? I think a more toxic problem within football programs is not being able to deal with success, right? Because especially when you haven't had that much of it, it's really concerning and we've seen this the last few years at Nebraska, where they have a really hard time building on their own success. They win a game that, maybe people didn't think they were going to win. Not last year, obviously, but going back to like 2020. What was it? The Penn State game, I think, in 2020 that they won. They won, and then they came back and looked terrible the next week, right? It's like you got one win over a mediocre Penn State team, and you could not handle it. That, to me, is a really concerning culture issue, because even the slightest bit of success makes you so comfortable that you don't feel like you have to do the things that got you that success. And that's what's going to be really interesting to see on Friday, is whether or not in just a few weeks they've been able to change that tide at all. Because that's what was trending at Nebraska. Like you said, the comfort level. And it's really, really easy to get comfortable when you win. Especially if you can get comfortable with losing, it's really easy to be comfortable when you win, right? Because it feels better. So it's even that much more comfortable. If you can't keep yourself on track after a win over, let's be honest, probably not a very good Indiana team, bottom third of the Big Ten Indiana team, I think is fair. If you can't stay hungry after that, then the culture is even more broken maybe than we realize. Now, we saw them not be able to stay on focus after a North Dakota win, so I'm not holding my breath here.
But you didn't have the same kind of joy and reaction that you had.
You didn't.
Saturday.
And you have a different coaching staff. Yeah. I mean, not entirely, but you've got different guys in charge leading the way. So it'll be really interesting to see what it looks like on Friday. And I can't remember if it was Mickey Joseph. I think it was Mickey Joseph a couple weeks ago talking about being uncomfortable. Part of the reason that's so important in terms of a mindset is because of the fact that football is an uncomfortable game to actually play. A lot of the things you have to do in a football game do not feel good. Like, it is a painful sport to play. There's a lot of games out there that are like, you could go through an entire basketball game and not have something physically painful happen to you. Same thing with baseball, same thing with most sports. Unless you're a kicker, the chances of that happening in a football game are incredibly low. I just can't imagine a world in which something doesn't hurt in a football game if you're not a kicker. And so if you can't do that with mental things, if you can't be willing to do the things that are mentally uncomfortable, the chances of you doing the things that are physically uncomfortable on Saturdays or Fridays in this case goes down dramatically. You're just not going to have the fortitude for it. And we've seen that at Nebraska for a while now, and it's gotten progressively worse. How fast can that change? Because to me, that's more than a couple week fix. And that's kind of what we're asking of Mickey Joseph here. Now, maybe that's just kind of the kind of leader he is, where he can flip that switch. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's some gear grabbers out here. Not hating on you. Last couple of years I coached, I was a gear grabber. I was like, yeah, just give me that swag. Let's go. I get it. The gear's cool. I'm a fan. But Like, leave that to the walk-ons, right? If you're on Scully, you better be doing some work. Like, I don't know if that's what we're going to find out about Mickey Joseph. Because if he can start turning that around this quickly, then he's an even better leader than I realized.
He's smart because he set the precedent right after that game was over.
Yeah.
That's a win.
24-hour rule.
And when we play on Friday at Rutgers. I mean, it's probably if you're gonna win a game against a team like Indiana where they're currently at, Rutgers falls in line with they've got a lot of issues as well. You know, they're fighting things. But it's a matchup where both teams can look at it and go, you know what? If you find a way to win this football game, man, there's some things that fall in line. People are saying this is like Schiano's game. Like, this is a must-win for Schiano. And I'm thinking, where are you at, Rutgers? All right, 16:20 The Zone morning. Scott Shanley a little bit later. Brandon Vogel as well on The Zone.
Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issues stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Bianna's bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It happens every day, and homeowners are victims every time, unless they call us. Hi, this is Garen Armstrong with Shamrock Roofing. Recently, a local homeowner with an aging roof had 2 well-known roofing companies out. Neither found hail damage for an insurance claim, but both happily submitted bids for a new roof. Then, the homeowner called Shamrock Roofing. We found significant hail damage and sat with the homeowner when he filed his claim. We were there again when the insurance adjuster came out. And when the insurance company tried to deny the claim, the homeowner appealed with his evidence from Shamrock. The insurance company then approved the full claim for a new roof. Shamrock Roofing helped the homeowner get his roof when the other roofing companies could not. That is exactly why we say call Shamrock Roofing first, especially if you're wondering about possible wind or hail damage. If you have it, we'll find it. One call does it all. Call Shamrock Roofing today. Or find us online at shamrockroofer.com.
As you descend into the darkness, you feel an unnatural chill in the air. You tell yourself, I don't belong down here. And you know what? You're right. Dungeon of the Damned Haunted House, located in the basement dungeon of Hollywood Candy at 1209 Jackson Street. Dungeon of the Damned, where no one can hear you scream. Dungeon of the Damned is now open Wednesdays through Sundays. General admission and VIP tickets available now at dungeonofthedamned.com or inside Hollywood Candy.
Planning something fun for your office, family, or friends? Joe's Karting is for you. Take a break. Come to Joe's to race, relax, and recharge. Great for team building. Ditch the speaker and burn some rubber. Trust us, Joe says you'll leave motivated. Joe's Karting race packages range from providing simple stress relief races to the real deal race experience. Check us out at joeskarting.com. Remember, go to Joe's, your place to race.
Hey everyone, Josh and John here for the Fanduel Sportsbook. Start week 5 off right with a no-sweat same-game parlay from Fanduel, America's #1 sportsbook. The Thursday night clash between the Battle of Horsies. It's the Colts at the Broncos. What a weird start to the season it has been for both of these teams. And you know what? Maybe you have the wrong read with your same-game parlay. No sweat same-game parlay from FanDuel, where you win or win no matter if you lose.
And you can take player props plus the game result. Too bad there wasn't a prop on Russell Wilson acting dorky, because he does that all the time. But you can take the over on the passing yards and the Broncos and win big. And if you want to bet the NFL on Thursday nights, it's a no-sweat same-game parlay. Just sign up with promo code 1620, and if you already have FanDuel, you're already set. 21 plus in present in Iowa, 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $5. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
The big box stores have a secret. When you walk out the door with a new purchase, that's where the service ends. At Ty's Outdoor Power and Service, you get great deals on brands like Hustler, Toro, Honda, and Steel. Plus, you get a dedicated, experienced service center. With annual maintenance and repairs, your equipment will last longer and perform when you need it most. See us in Lincoln, Omaha, or Gretna and get 10% off your residential service. Visit Ty'sOutdoorPower.com, promo code radio, or mention radio to repeat.
1620 The Zone.
All right, Aaron Judge last night hit his 62nd home run. For all you nerdos out there, everybody that has hit 62 or more, Judge is the first player that his first initial and last initial are not the same.
Oh.
Drop that on your coworkers today.
Boom.
You'll blow their mind.
I thought you were going to give me the other stat with players over 61 home runs that you gave me during the break.
They haven't been in the Hall of Fame.
Over.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Dingman's Mechanical Repair. We would rather be the best than apologize for anything less.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have one accident to report near 102nd and I Street, so please be cautious if you are in that area. Then along Industrial Road, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown from 149th to 138th. And on Center, be prepared for some delays from 192nd to 175th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Don't let high gas prices kill your summer plans. Saul's is the place to beat the summer budget crunch. With cash on the spot loans to help you get out of town, book that flight, or take that epic road trip. Cash on the spot, your summer getaway at Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
There are actually two kinds of cigars. The first is the one you smoke with beloved family and friends. The second, the one you enjoy with friends you've just met. And you'll find both at Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge. At Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, there's a well-stocked humidor with some of the best bands from around the world, and a bar with your favorite cocktails and other drinkables. So what do you say? Which cigar will you be enjoying tonight? Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 and 48th Street next to Cubby's.
Football season is underway, and my good friends at Tickets for Less have you covered. Ticketsforless.com has by far the best selection of Husker tickets, and they also are your source for the largest selection of Kansas City Chief tickets, all at the lowest prices. What a winning deal. Tickets for Less, you never pay hefty per ticket service fees like you do on the other sites, so you can save big money. So when it's time to lock in your seats for the next big game, be sure to head over to ticketsforless.com or call 402-398-1999 now to work with the greatest customer care team. Your game day starts at ticketsforless.com.
Hey, Olivia, what do you think when you think of Jonesboro's Cupcakes and Cafe?
I think, can we go now?
Jonesboro's is famous for award-winning cupcakes. Our cafe is delicious for breakfast and lunch, too.
Try French macarons.
And our light bulb boba drinks.
And our ice cream.
And our coffee and lattes.
And our croissant donuts.
We cater, too. Come see us at Jonesboro's Cupcakes and Cafe in Exarban Village.
Come on, let's go.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One, Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. New this year is Stefan's Country Drive. Antique cars where the kids are in the driver's seat. Plus, there's a new carousel. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is also opening a whole new part of the farm, the cider mill, with more than 50 other attractions included with admission. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is the place to be this fall. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard, Gretna, Nebraska. Now open through October October 31st.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Alice Pumpkin Patch best of all.
This is Scott Schultz from Host Coffee. 2022 marks our 50th year and business has never been better. We are rapidly growing and adding new customers, which means we need new route drivers and service technicians. We have new jobs for those new to the industry with little or no experience, and new careers that require knowledge in the coffee and vending world. There's a good chance we have just what you need in a new job. Host Coffee offers competitive pay and understands the work-life balance. Apply today at hostcoffee.net/careers and join our team.
Imagine it's a scorcher and your home's AC just quit. Sometimes it's beyond repair and needs to be replaced. At 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, our comfort specialists take the frustration out of the equation. Modern AC systems are more energy efficient, which is good news for your energy bill. Call 402-788-1234 or visit McCarthy's1hour.com.
Always on time, or you don't pay time. Always on time, or you don't pay time.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
I don't know if they really think we can win every game. I don't. So we're good enough, I think. Okay, I'm not a genius, but we can win. We can win 7 games. We can win these games. Right? We already threw away 3 of them. I mean, Oklahoma kicked our rear, but I said, that's the expectation. Is like, hey, not just to go to a bowl game. We can win the West. That's what it is. So you're in first place. Act like it and play like it.
Took a little nap yesterday. Woke up after he had spoken after practice yesterday down in Lincoln. People were asking me, is Whipple drunk? Was he just saying that to be saying it? I mean, I think he believes it, but do the guys that are playing the game believe it as well?
Well, yeah, I took it seriously when he said that. I mean,
and he's the guy that is now, I think, just, hey, let it rip. Whatever happens, happens.
I think he probably has a realistic view of things because he also said things like, yeah, if we don't win 7, I'm probably not here anymore. So I think he's got a fairly firm grasp on reality. But the fact of the matter is, for as bad as the start of Nebraska season has been, they're not out of the West chase, which that's all you can really ask for at this point. And it's probably more than you can ask for considering how Nebraska's played so far. You're in a position where you control your own destiny. And that's a positive. And I think that's how coaches look at it. And frankly, he's not totally wrong either. Do I think they're going to win 7 games and win the West? Absolutely not. But it's not like the West is full of juggernauts this year. Like, this is as winnable as a division as anywhere in college football. Wisconsin, who was the favorite, is the only team not tied for first place, and they just fired their head coach. Iowa can't score on anyone, and that's your other favorite. So basically, you're dealing with Minnesota at this point. And, anything can happen on a Saturday. You think talent-wise, I think Nebraska matches up fine with Minnesota. Again, it's what PJ Fleck said last year. This is a culture game. I think a lot of Nebraska's games that are left are culture games. And if you've got the talent, then you've got a shot.
I will get back to you on the morning of the 16th.
Okay.
I'm just going to sit back and watch the next 3 games.
That's fair.
Because they all give you different challenges. And
sure.
You've accomplished the first one. Now you go on the road, you play a Friday night game. There's going to be a lot of oddity. First of all, it's the first true road game for Nebraska this year.
Yes, and on a short week, it's a weird situation for them.
And then you come back and play a team in Purdue who just went to Minnesota and won. It's a night game. You know what they've done against Nebraska. You know who Purdue is.
Mm-hmm.
As rocky as their season has been, where you go, okay, you lost to Penn State, and then there was that Florida Atlantic game. Then you went to Minnesota and won. So I'm just going to reserve until the 16th. He's not wrong as he looks at it, but I think it's more, do guys that now have been put in a position to have a shot, maybe now to see their talent come out, that we thought if you were before the year like, hey, I think they're going to win 6, they're going to win 7, but there was all kinds of noise going on. now that they've been put in a position, at least you've seen on Saturday against Indiana, that coaches will put guys in a position to have a shot. Defensively, they are aligned better to have a shot at success than they were in the previous 4 weeks. If you are playing in those systems, offense, defense, special teams, and you believe, yeah, there's certainly a shot. But I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until the 16th, and that's not a negative.
Yeah.
I'm just being very patient because I think this 3-game stretch gives you some curveballs and some challenges that if you are to follow through on that, then you've accomplished those things, 2 of them being on the road back to back.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking on the 16th and Nebraska has beaten Rutgers and Purdue, we're going to feel dramatically different about this season in a hurry, right? I mean, that's only 11 days from now. We would feel pretty incredibly different than we did 11 days ago, right? I mean, you're talking about a whole different spectrum here because, okay, all of a sudden, let's hypothetical. They beat Rutgers, they beat Purdue. All of a sudden, you're at 3 Big Ten wins. You're at 4-3 on the season.
And you go into a bye week before,
math is hard. Before Illinois.
Before your toughest games start to line up.
Yes. Which did not think Illinois was going to be included in that group of toughest games. I still thought it could have been a loss because Nebraska apparently just loses to Illinois quite a bit. But I knew Brett Bielema was a good coach. I knew they were probably going to be better than they were last year. So I knew that wasn't going to be an easy game. I didn't know they were going to be this much better than they were last year, or maybe Wisconsin's just that much worse, but one way or the other. Illinois is playing pretty good football right now. But then you've got a 5-game stretch that will determine the course of your season. But for a lot of people, especially the way the year started, we thought the season was going to be over well before that we even got to that 5-game stretch. So to even be in it at that point feels like a win.
Mayor Joel tweets in, I love the 0 F's given Whipple. Now, will his play calling match that where he's, I don't give an F, let it rip. We will see. But his personality, I think, over the course of time is like that. He's been around the game a long time. Okay. He's not, I imagine that he is at some point in the last 9 to 10 months sat back and said, what the hell is going on around here? Okay. And now he's to a point of, you know what? Let's just, we're cleansing ourselves a bit of things. We still got a ways to go. Just here we go, baby. Here we go. And watch my play calling.
I would.
You want Trey Palmer going 20 yards downfield? Bam!
I would pay an incredible amount of money to give Mark Whipple some truth serum and just ask him candidly about the first 7-8 months he was here, just how, like, what he thought of Scott Frost, like how that whole thing was, because I bet you would get some doozies if you could get him under the right circumstances where he was just letting it all hang out. And maybe he will after he retires, because he barely cares now. He certainly won't care then once he's retired or gets laid off or whatever happens at the end of the season.
I don't think he get laid off.
Well, not let go.
He's
let
in
go.
you know, like his future is an interesting spot here.
Yeah.
If Mickey is retained to the head coach,
sure,
and Mickey and Whipple have a really good relationship, would Mickey want Whipple as his offensive coordinator to continue continuity? Or Mark Whipple's 65. Could Mark Whipple just go, you know what, I got a place in Arizona. I've been around the game. This year, everything that's gone on, I'm going to tell my grandkids about. Or does he do this? Hey, of everything that has ailed us and has been in the way that we've had to overcome, and we still have to overcome, I'm going to remind you guys that my offense through 5 games has a guy that's run for 600 yards. You haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher around here in 4 years. I also might have a wide receiver that sets the all-time reception record here. Guys, it's like the future of Mark Whipple is very intriguing on how the rest of the season plays out, and if he goes off into the sunset, if there's a change here, because I would imagine if you really do a deep dive into all of the names that are the same that are being shared, most of them have a really good current offensive coordinator.
Sure.
That they more than likely would bring here.
unless their current school wants to elevate that.
So Mark Whipple may be thinking that as well. Hey, let's go, boys. I got 7 games left. I'd love to have an extra one. Let's just let it go.
I mean, that's essentially what he said, right?
Yeah.
He was like, listen, I'm probably not here next year anyway, so let's have a good time.
And there may be players that if
he's here for a good time, not a long time.
There's very players that how they respond, they're like, you know what? They ain't going to keep me next year, but I'm going to go out with a bang.
Right. I wonder if he would, let's say he doesn't get retained. Let's say they bring in a new coach, doesn't get retained, or they keep Mickey and Mickey wants to go a different direction. Do you think he would coach somewhere else?
I really don't.
That's kind of like, but
because there were, people at Pittsburgh when we were trying to figure out Mark Whipple were saying, the word around the Pitt program was that he was contemplating retirement.
Sure.
And Nebraska came in and gave him this opportunity. He was like, sure,
I'll double my salary. Why not?
So it may be a case where I came here, I did it, I proved
I could do it.
I could do it, and I've had a long football life. It's time to go off to Arizona.
Yeah, I guess I think I'd be surprised if he ended up coaching somewhere else too. But he also seems like a guy that's hard to predict. So who knows?
But when you've moved through all of this, you think about it, Ravi, is the names that were mentioned, whether it be the Graham Harrells and some of the younger offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
Probably in this scenario where you are the offensive coordinator and they told the former head coach to stay out of your business.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a guy that's a football lifer to handle this and then to handle it moving forward.
Yeah.
Instead of somebody that is fairly young in the business, that their ego may be through the roof and they're more conducive to butting heads.
Sure.
Than saying, it's not really my way or the highway, but you get it. The guy upstairs told me that I'm in charge. What do you got?
Yeah. And I don't know that Whipple and Frost didn't butt heads, but it's different when it's a lifer, when it's a guy that's 65 versus, Graham Harrell's like 15 years old. Like he's in his 30s though, right? He was playing not that long ago. It's different when you're, Whipple's got 20 years on Frost and is not in any way going to be intimidated by him.
All right, welcome back to 1620 The Zone in the mornings. There's Ravi and Gary, Jimmy as well. Here is Donnie on the Les Hills Harley-Davidson hotline. Good morning, Donnie. I think you have to punch him up, Jimmy. Good morning, Donnie.
There we go. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. How you doing, Donnie?
I enjoy the. Have we come up with a name yet, Gary?
No, we have not.
No?
I smell contest.
I enjoy your random morning sports radio talk show. How about that?
Wait, thank you.
Perfect.
That's on the board.
And honestly, I think you should start. I'm surprised it hasn't blown up on Twitter too. Of the just random former Huskers that would make great radio hosts to replace Damon, and I think there was one of the Peter brothers in there at some point. How about I propose Ndamukong Suh and Sharp? How about that?
He is unemployed.
You have to use Ndamukong, not Sue. You have to use Ndamukong. Really make the promo guys work on that one. Do you think that the way we saw the kids play on Saturday, do you think this is a case of them seeing the coaches saying that they believe in them versus them seeing the coaches put them in a position to win and actually doing what they're saying? Because it seemed like for the last 4 years, all the right things were said in a very monotone voice during a press conference. And then when it came to Saturday, all the things that we talked about on Saturday or Monday through Friday, we just kind of threw them all out the window, and we're not going to put these kids in a position to win. When you finally see the defensive line allowed to go after the ball carrier, not do that stupid mush rush. When you finally see Nick Henrich blitzing, for God's sake. That's what they brought the kid in. He's great at burn. To see these kids do what they know that they can do, I think that there's a fire with these kids now. I really do, and Whipple saying we can win the West. I'm Jesus. I'm not trying not to be myopic about this, but gosh damn it, I just want it to happen.
Donnie,
Big Red.
Donnie, thanks for the phone.
What a walk-off.
See what Whipple does to people. So So a lot of it has to do with you look at just subtle changes. Okay. Bill Bush used a really good line yesterday. Cleats were in the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
They went simple. They went basics. They got guys lined up correctly. And they also put guys in a position defensively where you're not coming 10 yards off the ball trying to fill a gap and make a tackle. Okay. I think in a short amount of time, this staff, and we're talking about Mark Whipple and Bill Bush and Mickey Joseph, but let's use the whole staff.
Okay.
Because there's some guys that are holdovers that, Travis Fisher hasn't gotten much run this year. Travis Fisher has been really, really quiet, by the way, which is interesting. Is they went and they looked, and it's all about putting players in the best position to succeed. Nebraska's still got holes.
Sure.
Okay. And they're going to get exposed even more as the season goes along.
Yeah.
But if the mere fact that your coaches give you a chance, they give you a shot because of the position they're putting you in or where they're aligning you or what they're doing with your ability as a player, that's refreshing. I'm buying into what you're saying, because when you do that, like Saturday night, and you change things, and now I'm somewhere where maybe I haven't been, and then I play well and you find a way to win and you get validated, look what that does. Didn't Luke Reimer look like an entirely different player Saturday night?
Yeah, half the defense looks like entirely different players.
Luke Reimer hasn't played well this year.
No.
Okay, I don't know where any explosiveness has gone. Was it something in the offseason with the way they trained his body? But he hasn't played like we thought he was going to play. He looked like a different guy on Saturday night.
So I have a theory about this, because I thought a few guys looked faster, more explosive. And here's kind of where I landed was, they talked a lot about simplifying things, right? Nothing makes you look slower than thinking too much in an athletic contest, whether basketball, football, whatever. That makes you look slower than actually being slow. And the other thing that it does is it's the worst kind of lack of confidence you can have, is not knowing what you're doing, right? Yeah. Guys have been playing sports their whole life. If they miss a play or make a mistake physically, they get past that pretty quick. When they don't know where they're supposed to be or what they're supposed to do every single play, that's paralyzing.
Yeah.
And so when you strip that away from them, not only do they look a hell of a lot faster and more explosive and more disruptive, we saw it with Garrett Nelson too. Garrett Nelson looked like the best he had all year. You also have a much more confident team, because you don't have this constant nagging in the back of your mind where it's like, okay, am I where I'm actually supposed to be? This is where I thought I was supposed to be. And you're just constantly overthinking it. That's the
analysis by paralysis.
Yeah, it's the
paralysis by analysis.
It's the most paralyzing thing that can happen to you as a football player. And on defense, it's exasperated by the fact that you're constantly trying to react to what the offense is doing to you. And I really felt like you saw a lot of that stripped away on Saturday, where they looked fast, they looked more decisive. Did they play perfect football? Absolutely not. But they didn't look like they were completely lost out there on every play. And that's a huge improvement.
Mornings in 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. If you'd like to hop into the conversation, if you missed the first hour, we did a full breakdown on Aaron Judge. More attention to the guy that caught the ball than Judge rounding the bases with 62 as the case closed home run champion. I'm just repeating what Michael Kay and John Sterling used.
Gary, I'm filing an appeal on that case closed.
I would contact John Sterling. He's only 84. I wonder if this is it for him. He got to call something like this, and then
you think he's trying to hold out for another World Series?
I would think so.
Well, this was the first season he started taking some time off, because he would do all 162, and they finally convinced him to, pull old Denny Matthews and take a few trips off.
Some might say that Denny Matthews, even at home games, takes
part
of the game off.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
Takes a lot of time off, whether he's there or not.
Coming up later, Scott Shanley. Also, Brandon Vogel will join us. You can join us 951-1620. That's the Les Hills Harley-Davidson hotline. You can always email us, Gary at 1620thezone.com. Do they give you a zone?
Still do not have an email address.
Okay. So send emails to Ravi, and I will forward them to Ravi. That's in the Equitable Bank inbox, or on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620, or
at R.A. Lula.
R.A. Lula.
It's Lulla for the folks that don't know how to spell it.
Fantastic avatar picture.
What is my avatar picture?
It was slick. Was it LSU Rob today said you need to move the
I did. I
camera
tried to
because
move it
You got
up.
the James Harden beard.
I tried to move it up so you get down. It's because of the way I like to sit with the microphone. It blocks my face. And people like to see the beard, I guess. But,
Yeah, our seats in here are not the most comfortable.
No, I stand up during breaks a lot. They're not super comfortable.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Like it's good that we have the cameras that are face level because any part of the body with these chairs just doesn't.
Yeah, it's not super flattering. It's not a great angle.
No, it's kind of like the angle of the Ole Miss coaches celebrating.
Do us a favor. Come on, guys.
There's Robbie. I'm Garrett. Jimmy here as well. Mornings on 1620 The Zone.
Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Now, I could go back and maybe kick some ass in some races. What's the best marathon time in 1922?
They didn't have marathons back then because they put people in insane asylum.
Oh, man, the fastest marathon runner in 22 is faster than me by, still a lot. Yeah. And what kind of shoes were they running on?
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, start the NFL upcoming week off right with a no-sweat same-game parlay from Fanduel. It's America's #1 sports book. Now, it doesn't matter if you're new to Fanduel or you already have an account. You'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same-game parlay doesn't hit. Now, you're looking at this matchup between Indianapolis and Denver. Must-win game for Denver. Heck, must-win game for the Colts. You can do same-game parlays. It's the perfect way to combine your bets for an even bigger payday. Now, you may look and see, all right, I'm going to watch the injury report, see if Russell Wilson plays, and then take his under passing yards. What about Matt Ryan? Can Matt Ryan bounce back against a really good Bronco defense or anytime touchdown for Jonathan Taylor? You can find all those because I have on FanDuel with the same game parlay. So build them or choose one of their popular pre-built in the FanDuel's Sportsbook app. However you want to play, you can bet the NFL on Thursday night with a no-sweat same-game parlay. All you have to do, sign up with promo code ZONE, Z-O-N-E, if you don't already have an account. If you already do, you're set. Just sign in, and you'll see what you got. It's a convenient app. It's easy to use. Paydays quickly. So make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 over present Iowa. 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable. Free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Maximum free bet $5. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Becoming sunny Wednesday morning with more clouds moving in during the afternoon. Most will stay dry with only a slight chance of a spotty shower east of the metro. Highs around 74. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One, Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We're still getting reports of that accident near 120th and Center, so please be cautious if you are in that area. Along Industrial Road, be prepared for some significant delays from 138th to 120th. And on Dodge, it looks like you should be prepared for some slowdown from 94th to 90th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Scary Acres.
It's time for the gates to open. Scary Acres is back. Omaha's ultimate haunted attraction. Scary Acres now open. 172nd and Giles. Sponsored in part by Stereo West, Raising Cane's, and Hy-Vee.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has been making your game day experience one to remember for 18 years with our award-winning char-buffed wings at $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. But now your game day just got bigger and better with Oscar's newly upgraded audio-video system. Cheer on your favorite teams this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall, showing up to 8 games at once, and of course, 40 TVs and massive dual projectors. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Everyone deserves to be connected. That's why Cox has high-speed internet to fit any budget. Stream, chat, and connect at an incredible price. You're probably thinking, wait, what? But yeah, it's true. Learn more at cox.com/ACP. Non-transferable, one per household. Application and eligibility decisions are made by the FCC. Other restrictions apply.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issues stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
Get ready for the scare of a lifetime, because Madness Haunted House is back once again. Seek the thrills and horror at the new location at Pioneer Trail Orchard. Over 2 acres and 30 minutes of quality screams and fear. Madness Haunted House, the haunt that wouldn't die.
If you're like most Americans, you're pretty much in disbelief with what's going on in the world. As we all know, global problems are having local consequences. Too many of them. And if the peanut butter really hits the fan, are you ready? Grocery store supply chains are only as strong as their weakest link. Don't wait for them to break. Now's the time to secure emergency food for everyone in your family. My Patriot Supply is America's largest preparedness company. Our specially packaged and delicious food stays fresh for up to 25 years in storage. It'll be there when you need it. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and pick up several emergency food kits. There are a dozen different sizes that average over 2,000 calories per day. Our food kits will ship quickly and discreetly to your door. Having food storage in your home beats government food lines hands down. Go to mypatriotsupply.com today and prepare for what's coming. mypatriotsupply.com.
Need a pipe, vaporizers, candles, Kratom, Delta products, or e-juice and disposables or bottles? Then come to The Source 42 Degrees and save up to 50%. With multiple locations, a great staff, what are you waiting for? By your mom's house.
This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Dallas Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. New this year, it's Stefan's Country Drive. Antique cars where the kids are in the driver's seat. Plus, there's a new carousel. Dallas Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is also opening a whole new part of the farm, the cider mill, with more than 50 other attractions included with admission. Dallas Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is the place to be this fall. Dallas Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard, Gretna, Nebraska. Now open through October 31st.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Dallas Pumpkin Patch best of all. O'Reilly.
Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines to dissipate heat and reduce friction and wear. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $33.99. Try Syntec today, exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
1620 The Zone.
There you go, Gary.
Bring him up. Bring him up. From North Carolina.
What's happening right now?
Gary's going PA announcer, and I love it. I'm here for it.
I don't really get to do PA. Well, I like Omaha baseball. I go and do Omaha baseball.
Okay.
But they've never allowed me to do the Storm Chasers PA.
Really?
Because I'm always on the other, the radio booth or the other side of the press box. But I'll volunteer like any high school that needs like a fill-in PA guy. If my schedule in the wintertime for basketball works, I'll come and do the PA.
There you go.
Yeah.
I have never done PA.
If Jake Ryan ever, like gets caught in traffic, I'll go down and do Creighton men's basketball.
Get down to the CHI?
Yeah.
All right. I like it.
I mean, I guess I'm off the list because I'm not affiliated with Nebraska, but I would love to do Nebraska baseball PA.
Oh, yeah. That would be fun.
I got asked once. So Omaha basketball, this is probably 7 years ago. We're playing at South Carolina State.
Okay.
They didn't have a lot of staff there.
Yeah.
So I, told the person in charge, hey, I'm the radio guy for Omaha. Where do I sit? And they're like, oh, which is the last thing you want to hear when you're looking up where your broadcast
trying to do a
location
broadcast,
is.
yeah.
So,
you mean, like you're happy to see me, or because I'm about to say, something else.
So the guy that was like running the building,
yeah,
he goes, hey, can you do the PA as well? And I'm like, no. He goes, you can't? He goes, we'll put you right next to the microphone. I'm like, no, I can't do the PA and
And
the
a
radio
broadcast. Yeah.
So anybody out there, like the wintertime, has an opening, you say, hey, we need a PA guy. I don't care what sport. I'll come and do it.
You ever done like high school football PA?
No.
Okay. That's a
But I
maybe check it off the bucket list.
If I get a good,
you know?
if I get a good spotter, I could do it.
Yeah.
Like I'd like Nate Rohr to get laryngitis.
Oh, poor
down.
You've been practicing. I like that.
Because you hear it so many times, it comes rattling
Yeah,
through the
it's
window in
just,
the press box.
Embedded into your brain.
Welcome back in. There's Ravi. I'm Gary. Jimmy here is well. Last night, Aaron Judge hit 60-second home run. You're going to hear the Sterling and K calls. We played a couple of them. The Texas Ranger call was pretty good. It says history has landed in Arlington. Nice and simple.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Man, I feel bad for. Wait a minute.
Do you?
Do I feel bad for the Rangers in their stadium, Globe Life Field? First of all, it looks like a grill.
Yes.
Like when the roof is closed, it looks like a grill.
Accurate. Yes.
Very Texas.
The Rangers spent like $4 billion this offseason.
Yep.
And what have they gotten? Nothing.
Bad baseball.
Except for a prospect whose wife is all over Twitter talking about their road trips. Or not Twitter, but TikTok. Josh Smith.
Yep.
His wife is, I don't need to know what your fit is every day. But somehow you're on my For You page.
I was going to say.
Well, because I think I clicked on him. I like sports. And so there's him, and then there's a left-handed pitcher with the Rockies.
Okay.
Their wives are on TikTok.
Yeah.
And they'll go behind the scenes of road trips and stuff like that. And I kind of like
Which
that
is
stuff.
fun, yeah.
But they always give you what their fit is when they're going to the ballpark.
Well, you got to, right?
So, that's kind of like the highlight of the Ranger season. But look at their stadium that they built.
Yeah.
Which the ballpark in Arlington, which I thought was actually a nice stadium, other than it was hotter,
Yes.
But it was still serviceable.
Yeah.
It's a really nice ballpark.
And it's still standing. But they've moved out of there. So they build this one. And it's all right there. You've been to Jerry's World. It's basically across the parking lot. Got Six Flags, all that stuff right there in Arlington. Is Globe Life Field. The two biggest things that have happened in Globe Life Field have nothing to do with the Rangers. One is, remember, that's where the COVID World Series was between the Dodgers and the Rays.
Oh, yeah.
And now last night, Judge makes history.
I forgot about the COVID World Series.
And it was
almost
played there.
entirely.
The
that
place
it
looks awesome.
It's a great looking ballpark
Yeah.
from the inside, at least. Like it looks a little goofy from the outside, but from the inside, it looks like a glorious ballpark. Like it looks like a great place. But I mean, yeah, it's the Rangers. Like what? In the history of the Rangers, like
they came close 2011.
They did. They really did.
Nelson Cruz, Beltre.
But wasn't Hamilton on that team too? Wasn't Josh Hamilton on that team?
It was a really good Ranger team.
Really good Ranger team.
They were one strike away.
They were really good for a couple years there. But in the history of the Rangers, most of it has been unspectacular. I mean, like probably the most memorable things in Rangers history are, wasn't Nolan Ryan with the Rangers when he beat up Robin Ventura?
Yes.
Is that probably like the most memorable moment in Rangers history?
Remember watching it live? Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's probably the most like iconic Rangers moment, right? They just have not had like a storied history of baseball there.
No. When Nuke LaLoosh made his Major League Baseball debut,
That's what I thought,
it was
too.
shot at the old Ranger Stadium.
I was one of the few people that's like, Arlington
So
Stadium.
in my lifetime, the Rangers have played in 3 stadiums.
Where did they play before ballpark in
I
Arlington?
think they called it Municipal Stadium.
Arlington Stadium.
Arlington Stadium.
Okay.
And then they built the ballpark.
Yeah.
And now they have Globe Life.
Interesting.
So the Arlington Stadium was just a circular,
Yeah, just like
fancy.
a
but that's where the
muni stadium, basically.
last scene in Major League when Nuke LaLoosh was in the majors was shot there.
I didn't know that.
So the Ranger history has been outside of Josh Hamilton.
Yeah, you.
Home run
I mean,
derby.
It's the you have, but that was at Yankee Stadium. That wasn't even in Arlington. But their history as a franchise is filled with underwhelming moments.
And they have this brand new ballpark, the sparkling new ballpark, and the two biggest things belong to somebody else.
Well, it sounded
Very on brand.
It sounded like a home game for the Yankees last night.
Yeah,
like that. The people that were there seemed to be there for Aaron Judge. They were not there for the Rangers.
It's football season down there now, so they've moved on, and the Cowboys are 3-1.
I think we're spoiled with the home run calls because you're the radio or the TV guy for the Yankees. You're thinking about this for a while. We all do this.
Have to be, yeah.
Hey, I'm going to raise my hand and be honest. I have thought in my head numerous times what my closing call would be if Omaha men's basketball ever qualifies for the NCAA.
Sure,
tournament.
absolutely.
Yeah. I might be quoting an Animal House phrase, but if you're Sterling and Kay and you've been following this, you've come up with your line.
Yes.
So that you're not caught off guard.
Right, yeah.
You know, at least it was kind of a no-doubter, so to speak. It wasn't like, I mean, can you imagine Judge setting the record on a Little League home run? I mean,
he's just in the park, or he's just going.
Your whole call would just be messed up for history.
Broke the record?
Well, it's like the McGuire home run in '98, right? That was a wall scraper. It was crushed.
The line drive.
That ball was smoked, but it got over the wall by like half a foot, right? And so it was kind of funny because I remember there was all this talk back then, like there kind of was now, about the ball and who was going to get it, and ends up just like flying into the bullpen. Doesn't even matter. But I think Joe Buck was on the TV call for that one. Did a really good job considering it wasn't a no-doubter and you didn't have this moonshot where you could get off several lines of dialogue while the ball was in the air. But I just, for having the time to think about it, I felt like the Yankee call could have done better.
I do. And you're always going to be compared in those moments to Vin Scully.
Yeah.
Vin Scully's call of Hank Aaron's 7-15, which of the Bonds, Maris, Judge, Aaron ball, I would want Hank Aaron's ball.
7-15?
Yes, that's the ball that I would want.
Okay, yeah, fair.
And then you've got the Gibson walk-off. I mean, those are two of the more iconic home run calls in the history of the game of baseball.
100%.
And I mean, you guys enjoy baseball. I mean, is there any that come to your mind right away? I mean, I can't. Like, I'm trying to think of the Joe Carter walk-off in the World Series for the Blue Jays.
Sean McDonough had a great call of that one.
Here, Sean McDonough again, the College World Series, Warren Morris.
Yeah.
That's an iconic home run call.
Yeah.
But
we'll see you tomorrow night. That's another one.
Joe Buck.
Yeah.
Okay. In the Cardinal.
Well, Joe had 20 years later.
The Cardinal. No, it's the Braves Twins World Series at the Dome.
Yep. What was the? Excuse me while I stand and applaud. Was that McGuire 62?
Yeah. Yes. Mike Shannon had that one for the Cardinals.
Yes.
That's the one. I think that's one of them that I come to because I was the age where I watched a ton of baseball. That one kind of comes to mind. Most of the calls that I think of are Red Sox calls, and they're not home runs. Like
we think of the clinching or the final out of a World Series.
Yeah, like the ground ball back to Falk, the Red Sox fan, they finally done it, whatever. Or the one that I really remember is the Ortiz walk-off in the 14th, and he's like, "We'll see you later today," because they're
or some might say you just brought it. I mean, triggered here, not in a bad way. The Alex Gordon home run.
Sure, yeah. Absolutely.
That's that. And that call was pretty good.
Yeah.
In the World Series against the Mets. But all of these famous home run calls, like the two last night, are not going to be anywhere close to Vin Scully's Hank Aaron or the Gibson walk-off. Now, I'm pretty sure, and I should have listened closer this morning because ESPN played Bond 73. That's John Miller on the call.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it was a pretty good call.
It was,
but it wasn't like John Miller didn't embellish it because it was 73. John Miller's home run calls are pretty good.
Also, by that point, the thing with 73 was the record was already set. He had already set the record. So 73 was a big deal, but it wasn't the one that put him over the edge, right? Like I couldn't even begin to tell you what the McGuire 70th call was, because the record had been set at that point. He was just adding to the number. But I have a pretty good recollection of 62 on Fox with Joe Buck.
Ed says, what about the Nebraska-Arizona State College World Series home run? I'm not sure I couldn't understand what was being said on that home run call. The person at the time that was doing Nebraska baseball got awful excited.
Sure. Yeah, that'll happen sometimes.
Kind of got drowned out a little bit. Here is Smooth. Red, how you doing? Red?
Hello?
Hello, gotcha.
What about Kirk Gibson's home run off of Eckersley in 86, I think?
88?
88, the Vince Scully call, yep. That is that and Scully's Hank Aaron call are the two most famous home run calls, in my opinion.
Oh, great. They're great. Yeah, awesome. I'm a Gibson fan anyway. He was a Tiger, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. Every once in a while, I'll still go back and watch it.
Yeah. Well, there's probably some Ernie Harwell famous home fame career as the voice of the Tigers.
That's all Red wanted to say.
Jimmy, we got to fix that.
Yeah, it does it when it wants to.
No.
It's not ideal.
No, it's not. But it could be worse.
So, again, it's interesting. The discussion this morning is more on the guy that caught the ball.
Yeah.
Than Judge rounding the bases. You can have Aaron 715. You could have Bond 73. You could have Judge's 62, or you could have Roger Maris's 61. Which one do you want?
I'd probably go with Hank Aaron 715. That's, to me, the most historically significant. You don't want Bonds's, 756? You don't want that one? No. Or 7, what do you end up, 763? I don't
want McGuire Sosa. I can only have 4 choices here.
Yeah, I think I go, out of those, I for sure go Hank Aaron. Outside of Red Sox specific baseballs that I have an emotional attachment to in terms of home run balls with historical context, I think 715 for Aaron's the right choice.
We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Dave, stay right there. We will bring in Scott Shanley, also Brandon Vogel this morning. And we'll continue this because one thing we did not get into, we are 33 days from the start of the basketball season.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people watched basketball last night. We've got a gigantic person who just hit their 60-second home run. He's a freak.
Yes.
Aaron Judge, what he's able to do, and also play pretty good outfield.
Yeah.
At that
he's a
size,
good athlete. Yeah.
Now, and we're going to get to a point where we look at him and go, well, he's more than a home run hitter. Like a guy that big is supposed to hit home runs, but Aaron Judge is more than a home run hitter. And we go, we're not going to be like, oh my God, that guy is enormous and he's able to do that. There's going to be a point, and I think it's probably still a ways away, that we're going to look at a 7'2" or 7'4" player that puts the ball between their legs, has their own self alley-oop, shoots from 3, closes out, that we're going to go, yeah, that's just the norm.
I'll say that's what we look for now.
We had that guy last night.
Yes, we certainly did.
It's 1620 The Zone in the mornings.
Scott Graham from Westwood One inviting you to join us for Thursday night primetime from Denver when Russell Wilson and the Broncos host the Colts. Matt Ryan and Indianapolis look to bounce back from a loss to the Titans last week and pick up an always tough road win at Mile High. Spiro Ditas and Ryan Harris will call the action of the Ravens at the Broncos on Thursday Night Football.
6:30 Thursday night. If it's the NFL, it's on 1620 The Zone.
If COVID taught us anything, it's that local matters. Local shops, local restaurants, even locally brewed beers. October is Drink Local Month. So the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild is challenging beer, seltzer, and cider drinkers like you to put your palate through its paces and drink local brews. Because seriously, Nebraska is really on the cutting edge when it comes to brewers who think outside the box. And besides, you really want to be drinking what they drink over in Iowa? Didn't think so. Click drinklocalnebraska.com.
Sure, the weather is nice and mild now, but before too long, it's going to be cold, windy, with tons of snow and ice. Is your roof ready? The time to make it ready is now. That's why Complete Industries uses quality products like Scotchgard protected Atlas Pristine shingles. Sturdy, durable, and reliable. So when the storm hits, you'll be more than ready. Complete Industries also works with your insurance. Get a free inspection and estimate on roofs, gutters, siding too.
Visit CompleteIndustries.com or call 402-935-0554.
Sunday morning is all about church, eggs, and the Sunday paper. But right next to church, it's made for hot takes and reactions. Severe Reactions. Michael Severe is back on 1620 The Zone with Severe Reaction. Sundays 8 to 10 and doesn't hold back on what went right and what went wrong on Saturday. He'll also take calls from the most important voice of all, yours. Severe Reaction. Sundays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Only on 1620 The Zone.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Guys, want an effective, affordable way to get ED medication 100% online? Whether you're looking for Viagra or Cialis, or generic medications as effective as Viagra but 90% cheaper, you can find it all through Hims. Hims is your go-to for doctor-trusted treatments to help you treat ED. Get ED treatment for as low as $3 per use and save up to $1,000 per month with generic for Viagra versus the brand name at forhims.com/radio. If prescribed, your medication will be shipped to your door in discreet packaging. Do it all online. No in-person appointments. Get hard results with Hims or your money back. Go to forhims.com/radio to get your first visit free. That's forhims.com/radio to get started free. forhims.com/radio.
J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers, offers exterior solutions that help you protect your number one investment. Whether it's roofing and siding or windows and doors, they're committed to excellence, quality, and outstanding customer service in every step of the process. When it's time to protect the exterior of your home, your choice is simple. Turn to who the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Check them out online and schedule a free estimate today. J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers.
I would go on stage and I almost felt like what I was doing didn't make sense to people.
Every legend has a story.
I had really crippling anxiety from when I was easily 7 years old.
Introducing Words and Music, the groundbreaking series from Audible that blends in-depth memoir with exclusive performances.
My name is Annie Clark. I record and perform as St. Vincent.
This is Beck, and these are my words and music.
Hear the stories behind their songs.
Somehow on its own, it just got on the radio and it went straight to #1.
The experiences that shape them.
I feel like I'm in a dream where I'm in 8th grade and I haven't studied for the science test.
Their music and their stories.
We did the record in 2 weeks, pretty much recorded a song a day.
Unfiltered and unscripted.
A great song is a magic trick, is a sleight of hand. You know, it's supposed to look effortless. It's supposed to be effortless.
Hear these iconic artists and more. Listen to Words and Music, an Audible original series. Go to audible.com/wordsandmusic and download the app today.
Experience every pitch, run, and legendary play. Your home for Royals baseball in Omaha. 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone.
Right now is at the plate. High fly ball into right field. She is gone. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
The GOAT.
I had to get Vinny.
That's
on.
what I'm talking
Vince
about right
Scully.
there, though, where he'll use a turn of phrase in the year of the improbable, the impossible has happened. That sounds so cheesy when other people try and do that. And for some reason, maybe we just give Vince Scully the benefit of the doubt, or maybe he's just better at it than everybody else. But he seems to nail it every time.
And I don't think that was phony because I think it was natural for him in just his course of language.
Yeah.
Is he did something really important that my friend John Schrader, who's down at UNL, and other friends that are teaching sports broadcasting, is in moments like that, let the crowd also tell the story.
Yeah, he laid out
and
for
so
a good second there.
Vin understands the magnitude of the moment. Is he let the crowd at Dodger Stadium take him, and then his line, and then he didn't continue to talk.
Yep.
You know, and then he let the crowd was still going. And if you're listening at home or wherever you are, you know exactly what happened.
100%. Yes.
Yeah, instead of trying to talk over the crowd.
Which is, again, something that a lot of broadcasters today have a hard time with. And listen, I have never done play-by-play. I understand it's an incredibly hard job, but there is an art to it aside from just telling people what's happening, about letting the atmosphere tell people what's happening as well. And that's a really hard thing to do when you're taught your whole life, no dead air, no radio silence. And it's like, well, it's not dead air. You're just not talking, right? But
unless it's sponsored. Dead air presented by
Nebraska football. You know, it used to be they'd be in the end zone right away, and you'd have to mention, you know, that touchdown is by, you know, Bob Seedbarn.
Or, you know,
come on. I mean, the crowd's going nuts.
Damn good money.
And Bob can't hear his ad because 90,000 people are going nuts.
Yeah.
And the play-by-play guy's trying to go, and you know, Tom Smith is into the end zone. That's a Bob Smith
in the Case IH red zone.
Yes.
Well, it's like with the
Trey Palmer. That is still killing me. That was Saturday night. That's still Trey Palmer.
Matt Albert.
But at least the Judge home run last night was not a Little League home run or something that goes to replay.
Yes.
Or is above or below the yellow line, or is a questionable. Is it an error?
So replay would have been a nightmare, but I actually think an in the Parker would have been a lot of fun.
See, if they would have gone to replay, the people in New Jersey would have been like, why? No. That'll take a second.
Here's the problem, though. If they do that and then you look at it and you're like, oh, that's actually not a home run, it's a huge problem.
And then he goes 0 for 4 today.
That's what I mean.
You screwed him.
And the guy that caught it throws the ball back on the field. Screw you, Major League Baseball. All right. Next hour upcoming. We'll get some comments on the stream. My feet are being held to the fire about a former coach at Nebraska.
Uh-oh.
I will respond, and we will talk more about things that were said yesterday. But, you know, for as bad as things have been around here, it was a Saturday where other people kind of encountered what Nebraska's pain has been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're Iowa, you're Minnesota, you're Iowa State, teams that have, you know,
been better than us recently.
Fired the coach.
Yeah.
At least you're not Michigan State, where Mel Tucker, 40% of the games that Mel Tucker has coached at Michigan State have been double-figure losses.
Yeah. I was
That
uneasy.
is the stat of the day that was shared yesterday, that Mel Tucker has coached 25 games. There are 10 double-figure losses in there. Even Brady Hoke. It took him 51 games to get 10 double-figure losses.
Perspective.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
It is hard to do.
But he's still making $95 million.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We're still getting reports of that accident near 120th and Center, so please be cautious if you are in that area. Along Industrial Road, be prepared for some significant delays from 138th to 120th. And on Dodge, it looks like you should be prepared for some slowdown from 94th to 90th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More.
Hi, I'm Mark Evans, owner of Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More. Join us in supporting Food Bank for the Heartland. Right now, if you donate 5 cans of food, you can get a furnace safety inspection and cleaning for only $55. Request service at justcallburton.com.
Genesis Health Clubs is celebrating its 36th anniversary, and you're invited. Join for just 36 cents and get the rest of the year for free. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen, owner of Genesis Health Clubs, thanking you for the last 36 years. Without you, we wouldn't be here, and we're here for your results. We're here to help you feel better, look better, and have more energy, and be able to enjoy all life has to offer by improving your health. Celebrate Genesis Health Club's 36th anniversary by joining today for just 36 cents and get the rest of the year for free. Offer extended. That's 36 years of results, 36 years of better mood, concentration, and focus, 36 years of crushed goals, 36 years of mental and physical strength, 36 years of members achieving their absolute best, and now it's your turn. So get fit, have fun, and celebrate 36 years with us. Join Genesis Health Clubs for just 36 cents and the rest of the year for free. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Find your fitness home at genesishealthclubs.com.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Sharp on behalf of my friends at Tickets for Less. As you probably heard by now, Tickets for Less is my go-to source whenever I need Husker tickets. But I want you to know that Tickets for Less has a lot more to offer. Did you know they have the largest selection of tickets to events both locally and nationwide? Plus, the thing I like the most, they never charge you outrageous per-ticket service fees on your order. That's why I always use Tickets for Less. Whether I want to go to Arrowhead and see the Chiefs play, attend a concert or a show, ticketsforless.com is my first stop. See for yourself at ticketsforless.com.
An estimated 80% of Americans aren't getting their recommended daily amount of physical activity. It's time to move and keep moving, America. And when you need help, physical therapists and physical therapist assistants are by your side. Be your own champion. Choose more movement. Choose better health. Choose physical therapy. Find out more information and a physical therapist at choosept.com/NE. Brought to you by the American Physical Therapy Association of Nebraska.
Need a pipe, vaporizer, candles, Kratom, Delta products, or e-juice in disposables or bottles? Come to the Source 42 Degrees and save up to 50% with multiple locations. What are you waiting for? 42 Degrees, by your mom's house.
Sunday morning is all about church, eggs, and the Sunday paper. But right next to church, it's made for hot takes and reactions. Severe Reactions. Michael Severe is back on 1620 The Zone with Severe Reaction. Sundays 8 to 10 and doesn't hold back on what went right and what went wrong on Saturday. He'll also take calls from the most important voice of all, yours. Severe Reaction. Sundays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Only on 1620 The Zone.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issue stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
Coming here from Eckersley. Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson. And the Dodgers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw. I don't believe what I just saw.
That was late.
Had to get Jack on there.
I would say I remember the
So
I don't
that's-
believe what I just saw. Yeah, that's an
So,
iconic.
I mean, how about that? You had Vin Scully on
Yeah.
NBC with the call on TV, and you had Jack Buck calling it on CBS Radio.
And both of them iconic calls. Just terrific.
Welcome back in. Third hour of 1620 The Zone in the morning. There's Robbie. I'm Gary. Jimmy here as well. Scott Chandler is going to join us coming up in about an hour. Brandon Vogel as well. As Aaron Judge last night hit number 62. Don't play today. The guy that caught the ball, you don't want him playing today because what happens if he gets into one and he hits 63? You just want him to take the day off, get ready for the postseason, enjoy the weekend off, see who you're going to be playing.
Yeah,
Who comes out of the wild
A
card.
little rest and relaxation for. What if he pulls like a McGuire and hits a couple?
All of them are like, damn it. Can I take a concession stand voucher and a hat?
Oh, that guy would be.
Oh, I'd be furious.
He'd call the Yankees up and go, "Hey, can I meet Judge? I got the ball right here."
I
for you."
slept on it, and I would like to meet Aaron Judge and have some season tickets.
Here's a T-shirt. Support us in October.
808. We're all trying to, the world of connecting and, who came from Baylor. Nebraska's excellent video guy. Used to be at Baylor. Recruiting coordinator used to be at Baylor.
Just connecting some dots here.
Mickey Joseph, Bill Bush used to be at LSU.
Who else used to be at LSU, Gary?
Dave Aranda.
Oh, interesting.
You want to know another interesting connection? We were talking earlier. When this year is over, just to do a brain drain with the assistant coaches.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think a conversation on a non-game day is like with the Arizona Cardinals? TC brought this up in the Equitable Bank inbox. So Mickey has been pretty open. He's relied on his brother Vance for some advice. I mean, do we still hold it against Vance that he played at Colorado? There's a lot of Bronco fans that hold it against him that he coached their NFL team. But Mickey relies on his brother.
Yeah.
Do you know who also is on that staff?
Who's that?
Mark Whipple's son.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Mark Whipple's son for the Arizona Cardinals is the co-passing game coordinator. Thank you, TC, for that little nugget.
Interesting.
Yeah. What do you think those two talk about?
You think they should have conference calls?
Hey.
With all four of them?
Hey, what's your brother saying? Hey, is your brother going to keep my dad?
Do you think Cliff Kingsbury ever gets in on the conversation, or they're just like, Cliff, we're not interested in what you have to say?
I'm not sure that Cliff shows up during the week. By the looks of how the Cardinals start games, I think Cliff shows up in the second quarter. And they're like, just get out the way. Get out the way.
Go chill at the pool.
Hey, just put on the headset. Let him put the little super up there with your name.
Yeah.
But get out the way. Yeah, talk about trying to figure out a team.
I can't believe he still has a job. I really can't.
Well, he also got an extension. Everybody in that organization got an extension in the offseason.
It's good work if you can find it.
You get an extension. You get an extension.
Hey, I just want to throw this out there because I'm going to prepare you. I like to prepare people. It's October 5th. We're about to go into week 6 of the college football season. Again, crazy train college football season. Do you know that KU could be the first team to clinch a bowl berth? They play.
Man.
So Michigan and Tennessee and KU all play the 11 o'clock game on Saturday.
Yeah.
KU is on FS1. That game usually starts right at 11.
Yep.
Michigan is on Big Fox. Big Fox, they're in Bloomington. Okay, so they're just following Michigan around. Michigan could say we're playing at 2 a.m. and people would put them on TV.
All right, let's do it.
All right, done. Fox.
Go Big Blue.
Joel.
I think Tennessee LSU is on ESPN.
Which means they'll start like 11:15.
Yeah. So KU, if they beat TCU, could be the first to clinch a bowl berth.
That's true.
Well, this is a crazy season.
Yes.
But something that will not be crazy, and I'm preparing you, and we're still 6 weeks away. If Ohio State is 11-0 and Michigan is 11-0, will that be the most hyped regular season college football game ever? In Columbus, revenge.
Even bigger than 06?
Yes. 2 potentially top 4 teams, both 11-0. The winner moves on to Indy. The loser probably goes to maybe the playoff. You got the 2 gigantic brands. That game always draws the highest ratings.
Sure.
2 11-0 teams the end of September in Columbus, Ohio State, Michigan. My opinion, going to be the most hyped college football game in the regular season ever.
So Fox is like
bigger than a game of the century.
Here's the
and
question.
they could be 1 and 2 by then. Who knows?
Sure. The question you have about some of those is like how regionally those things kind of differ a little bit, right? Because you go back, I mean, obviously you've had some Alabama Auburn games that were super high profile, kind of deciding who goes to a national title game, things like that, or goes to the SEC title game in the playoff. Back in the day, you had some like Florida State games that were like that, end of the regular season, right after Thanksgiving, kind of pre-conference championship game where the winner of that game was going. I mean, 96, both the winner and the loser were basically playing for the national title again, right? With Florida State and Florida. I think there's some regional differences there. So what you're saying is that Michigan, Ohio State has more of a national brand than any of basically the
every
Southeast.
year. It's the highest rated college football game.
That's fair.
Fox makes the most money off advertising off that game. That's their first pick every year. Now, the 06 game was a 1-2, and it could be this way away. I'm just telling you, if they're both unbeaten going into that game again, because they were both 11-0 going in.
Yeah.
Because of the revenge factor.
Yeah, from last. Yes.
That could be even a bigger storyline.
And I just think we hype things up even more now, so it's accelerated from where it was in 2006. It'll just feel bigger. And you got me excited as a fan.
And if you think about it, if you look at how Michigan's playing, how Ohio State's playing, it could be a hell of a game as well.
Oh, yeah.
Now, 42-39 in 06 with the Heisman Trophy guy playing.
Yes.
I mean, that stood on its own. I think this game will be bigger. 16 years later?
Get a little snow falling again like last year. It's perfect.
Well, and you've got part of it is, at least on the Michigan side, the personalities involved too, right? Like Jim Harbaugh is a way bigger personality
than Lloyd Carr.
Than Lloyd Carr was back in the day. So I think that kind of ratchets it up another level. You've got the, as you mentioned, the revenge factor. You've got the kind of backstory with Harbaugh having so much struggling with Ohio State in the past as well. You know, you could be right. I hope it's true. I hope that's what happens. That would be a phenomenal weekend.
You know, and Fox would let you know about it.
Yeah, I think they might.
Every single break.
I think they might advertise that a bit.
Yeah. Here is Randy to kick off the hour. Randy, thanks for the call on the Les Hills Harley-Davidson hotline.
Well, I just wanted to say it says Frost only lost 7 games by 10 points or more. Not defending him, just finding the humor in that.
Yes. Randy, thank you.
People forget a lot of close games.
Well, okay. So we and Randy's right. Is you want to? So Dirk shared a tweet when Chris got fired the other day that Bo Pelini and Paul Chris record
almost identical. They're 1 game apart, right?
Are like
I think Bo was
identical.
66-27 and Paul Chris was 67-26.
Okay. So 67-26 was Paul Chris.
Pretty good.
Bo Pelini at Nebraska was 66-27.
I think so. I think they were exactly
67-27.
Okay, so he had lost 1 more game, but otherwise was identical.
Okay, I'm blowing your mind today. All right. You want another? What the? You ready?
Yeah.
All right, because it kind of falls in line with what we're just talking about.
Okay, I'm ready.
Jim Harbaugh's record.
Ooh.
At Michigan. 66-24.
Ooh. I mean, that makes sense, though, considering what they've been for the most part.
Okay. But if you would have gone back like a couple of years ago, and Harbaugh's won 10-10, 8-10, 9. The COVID year,
whatever.
Michigan only played 6 games.
Yeah.
And then last year he comes back and they win 12 games and they lose in the semifinal to Georgia, and they're off to a 5-0 start. But the way that Harbaugh has talked about, you would think that his record is god-awful.
Yeah, you would think it was like
66-24.
You would think there was a lot of more 6, 7, 8s in there than there are.
I mean, a year ago, they had him back in the NFL by this time.
Well, and remember, in the NFL, he was 44-19. He even tied a game. So he's 44-19-1 with the Niners.
Mm-hmm.
And in just 4 years and the Super Bowl appearance. Yep. His record, he was at San Diego, he was like 30-6 or 29-6, something along those lines. Now at Stanford, remember, he inherited a program. His first 2 years
they were
at
like
Stanford, they only won 9 games.
Yeah, they were terrible.
But at the end, he won 8. And then his last year,
they won 12,
where they went to the Orange Bowl. Yeah, they were 12-1.
Yeah.
And he used that year to get to then he went to the Niners in 2011. But what I'm saying is these records and the numbers, then when you get inside of the numbers, they're not all the 66 wins and the 67 wins from Harbaugh to Chris are not created equal.
No, they're not. I mean,
but it is interesting how the perception of those coaches is with nearly identical records.
Right. And obviously the Chris record was very front loaded. You know, I think he had 10 win seasons 4 of his first 5 years, and they were really good. I think they had a 13-1 and they were really good right out of the gate under him. And Harbaugh's kind of seemingly accelerated this last couple of years here and taken Michigan to new heights there. But it's funny to look at, but I also get really frustrated with people that are like, well, look how good this guy was. It's like, okay, do any of you remember what it was like under Bo? Like, I get that a lot of people didn't want him let go.
Are we doing this again?
I'm just saying, you have to look a lot deeper than the record, because I mean, we were talking to Andy yesterday about the Wisconsin job where this wasn't really a surprise locally, it didn't sound like. Maybe the timing was a little early, but things had obviously started to slide in a direction there that a lot of people weren't comfortable with. Whereas at this point, if Harbaugh were to be let go at Michigan, it would be pretty shocking after the last year and a half, basically, it would be unthinkable almost at this point. Whereas 2 years ago, I was like, well, he'll be lucky if he coaches another game at Michigan. So the records are fairly deceiving. What it all puts into perspective with guys that are getting fired or on the hot seat with these type of records is just how bad Nebraska's been the last 4 years. Like, it puts it in stark contrast because it's hard to, like, sometimes in the moment, it almost feels like I'm imagining how bad they've been. And then you actually look at it and you're like, no, they have lost a lot of football games.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost like an Iowa State pre-Matt Campbell amount of football games. And yet we were still okay with bringing him back for year 5. That's the thing I keep coming back to.
You got your wish, Robbie. You don't have to.
It wasn't a wish.
Your life is better.
I thought Gary was going to segue to some Matt Campbell talk. I was waiting. You just kind of teed it up for him.
You know, I thought I'd throw it out there.
I can throw this out there. We haven't done the coaching talk today. I mean, people are very upset.
We need an update. We need a coaching talk power rankings here.
Well, Lance Leipold yesterday, he commented on Paul Chryst losing at a job where you win 9 games.
Yeah, that was a doozy the way he.
But he also then said, we like it here. We have no plans on going anywhere. Remember what I said yesterday? At some point, there's a guy like him who has never chased jobs, has worked for some pretty good athletic directors that are ahead of the curve, like Danny White hiring him at Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
The athletic director who was scrambling after the Les Miles mess to get Leipold.
Yeah, that was Travis Goff's first month.
After spring football. He's never been a guy to chase jobs. Is when he says, okay, I'm not going anywhere, and all these rumors are out there, you just say, hey, I want to put him to bed. Let's do an extension. Remember I said that yesterday?
Yeah.
But there is part of the discussion that we just started here. And bring Leipold and a Campbell into the mix. You can do an Aranda as well, but his track record of being a head coach, whether it be at Division III to FCS to FBS, it's not there.
Right, yeah.
If you can win at blank, can you win anywhere? If you can win at Wisconsin Whitewater, can you win at Buffalo? If you can win at Buffalo, can you win at Kansas? If you can win at Kansas, can you win at a place like Nebraska? If you can win at Nebraska, can you win at any place in college football? Because now that Iowa State is struggling, and I hate this, not every week is a referendum, and it's a full body of work that you're going to look at if you're hiring a football coach.
Sure.
It's not week to week. If you're doing that, you're not very good at your job. Okay. You're looking at a full body of work.
Yeah.
I like to look at full bodies of work. If you've had success at different places that give you different challenges, yes, when you say, if you can win at Kansas, you can win anywhere. And I say, you know what? Where was he before Kansas? Where was he before Iowa State? Where was he before Toledo? There's a track record of winning along the way. So whatever the blueprint they have, and as the address changes, they have that blueprint in place.
Portable.
Where as they take a step up and your resources are more, they have to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
But there are the central figures of being successful in the game of football on the field and off the field that good coaches can be portable from Division III to FCS to FBS and then a much larger FBS program.
The biggest sales pitch for Lance Leipold is the fact that what you just said there, the track record of success across different levels, across different divisions even, and in vastly different situations, and the fact that he built at each of those.
Mm-hmm.
There's some of these guys that we're talking about here where you inherit success and you sustain it, right? And that's a skill set too. I'm not taking away from it, but that's not the job at Nebraska right now. Nebraska needs a builder, not a sustainer. And that's the biggest sales point for Leipold at this point is that dude builds. He builds programs. And yeah, if you can win at Whitewater, Buffalo, and Kansas, I tend to believe you can win anywhere.
I think he can coach.
Yeah, there's obviously something there that translates everywhere he goes.
Now, there are some coaches, like let's use Mike Gundy, for example. Mike Gundy didn't go to Langston State and then dropped off at Eastern Oklahoma JUCO and then all of a sudden came back to his alma mater. He got the gig. So
and he loves Vallis Pumpkin Patch.
But he also is a guy that has a long track record of success.
Yes.
Okay, he's not a 2-year guy that went somewhere else.
My biggest concern about Aranda.
He's got a track record where they've, you win 10, but what happens next year when you drop down and maybe you lose a big senior class?
Sure.
Or you have guys that go off to the NFL and your recruiting was not on par and you drop down from a 10-win season to a 6-win season. Does the 6-win season become another 6-win season? Does it become a 5-win season and all of a sudden you're on the hot seat? Or does it revert back to, hey, this is what I've established. Now we're back. We're talking 9, 10. We're competing for a conference championship. And if that happens, and that kind of did with Gundy, that tells me whether he's in line for the Nebraska job or not. That's a good football coach. That is a really good football coach.
It's happened a couple times with Gundy, right? So they go 2010, they go 11-2, 2011, 12-1, then drops to 8-5, goes back up to 10-3, 7-6, and then they have 10 wins in a row, or 10 wins 3 seasons in a row. And then after that, he had 7-6, 8-5, and then he goes 8-3, 12-2. Every time they've dropped down, he's bounced them right back up when they've lost that big senior class, when they've lost the star quarterback or the guy that was really important or whatever. Every time they've done that, they have immediately bounced back within 2 years. So while that is a different type of building, the sustainability, I mean, he's been at Oklahoma State for 18 years. This is 18th year now. There's something to be said for that as well. My biggest concern with a guy like Aranda is you have neither the track record of building, because let's be honest, Baylor's been good for about 12 years. Since Art Briles, whatever, his other issues, they were good under Art Briles, had one bad year. They were good under Matt Rule, had one bad year. Now they're good under Dave Aranda. Hasn't really had to build in the same way you'd have to build at Nebraska. And he's only in his 3rd year, so he hasn't sustained the way Gundy has at an Oklahoma State, or the way, a Kyle Whittingham has at Utah. Kyle Whittingham didn't have to build at Utah. He took over for Urban Meyer, but they've been awesome for the last 20 years under him.
And as consistent as they come.
That's where my concern is with, and listen, do I think Dave Aranda could be an awesome head football coach here? Absolutely. But with each one of these guys, there's something that makes me just a little bit uncomfortable. And with Aranda, it's the fact that he hasn't built and he hasn't sustained. That doesn't mean he can't, but we haven't seen it yet.
I said this yesterday, and I went back and rewatched the game last night, KU Iowa State. They mentioned this. I was there. I had to see what did I not see? But they said this. Lance Leipold and Dave Aranda both said the program they are modeling their programs after right now is Matt Campbell. That's what they. So I found that fascinating, because some people are now poo-pooing because their field goal kicker misses 3 field goals Saturday. They've lost some close games. Well, maybe the luster's off. But you have these two coaches who people are zeroed in or around here say that that's who they want to model their programs that they're building after. I just found that to be interesting. I was like, that's the level of respect that Matt Campbell has. And this kind of ties back into what you're saying, Robbie. It's like people around here are nervous. Like, we have to get this right, have to get the right fit, because it could really take off if we get the right guy in the job.
Remember, through all this, I give this little caveat of someone's going through this again. There are a lot of times in whole coaching searches where the least talked about person is the guy that gets the job,
which you've hinted at since the beginning of this.
Because here's you're going to ride the wave. KU is a great story.
Yeah.
Okay. It's great that the stadium is packed and people are talking KU football. It's kind of neat, and a lot of us know Lance. Okay. And so we've watched his journey from when he was here doing a lot of grunt work, whether it be at 60th and Dodge or on, Stadium Drive in Lincoln, to, 15-0 seasons at Wisconsin Whitewater, to going to Buffalo, where, they have a nice football program at Buffalo.
That's a hard job.
But people with Lance Leipold there, people are like, hey, man, Buffalo's a tough, and they're sending guys to the NFL. And then he takes the KU job, and you're like, hey, good luck. Well, look what happened to the last Buffalo guy that took the KU job. I know different circumstances, but your career goes to die in Lawrence.
One of the hardest jobs in college football.
It dies in Lawrence. What's going to be the chatter? Let's say KU gets beat this weekend by TCU, and very much so. TCU is a really good football team.
What if Kansas State keeps winning?
Okay, there you go. What happens if, all of a sudden, KU goes into a little bit of a slide? They go to Norman. All of a sudden, Oklahoma wakes up. They win. Then they go to Waco and they lose. And then Oklahoma State and Gundy comes
now
in.
You're 5-4.
After he has breakfast with Trev, he goes out and beats KU. and then they have Texas Tech and Texas KSA. Just so it's the whole body of work.
100%. Yeah.
It's and if you're the man hiring, and we all do this in any job. I mean, I'm going to use you as an example. And don't. The boss isn't coming in and going, Ravi, I love the show today. You're hired. Okay, you got a whole body of work. You know, you're the most valuable guy at 1620 The Zone.
And
okay?
I've been doing this for several years.
But if the guy upstairs came in and said, hey, you're hired off this show, I'd be like, huh? What? They're going to go, hey, full track record. I mean, that's how it should be.
It has to be, right? Because you can't be a prisoner of the moment.
And I'm going to, because the Matt Campbell hate has started.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt Campbell sucks. Lost to Baylor and their kicker blew it. Now they might just have their defense might have to score touchdowns because their offense ain't doing anything. They're all injured. But what's going to happen if they upset Kansas State? Ah, Matt Campbell, welcome back, baby. Here we go. Climbing out.
I was behind you the whole time.
Here's the thing. And listen, I understand there's a couple different sides of this argument, right? I understand that you can't be a prisoner of the moment and be like, well, Iowa State's they're 3-2 now. Get them out of here. Guess who else is 3-2? Dave Aranda, by the way, just for the record. But I understand there's also if you have a certain record this year, the perception of hiring you is going to make things really difficult. Like if you go 6-6, it's going to be a really hard sell to Nebraska's fans to hire a 6-6 football coach. So I acknowledge both things are true. Even if I don't think Matt Campbell is any worse of a football coach, if you go 6-6 this year or 8-4 this year, it's a lot easier to hire the 8-4 than it is the 6-6, right? There's a perception of it that just you have to acknowledge that that's a factor as well. Whether it should be or not, it is, especially coming off of the Mike Riley thing, because that's the thing I hear all the time with Campbell. Oh, he's just the new Mike Riley. Well, no, that's a dumb argument. But I understand that you have to be coming off of a certain amount of success to be able to sell the hire to your fan base. So while you can't be a prisoner of the moment, you also have to acknowledge there is a reality of the situation where you don't want fans to burn down the stadium because you hired a guy that just went 5-7.
Corey says no one was talking about Mike Riley. That's true. Careful how you model for who the new coach might be. But
I picked my guy, by the way.
Remember, it also is on the onus of your trust of the person that is doing the hiring.
Which we trust Trev infinitely more than we did previous.
Steve says, using your thought process, the least talked about person with the coaching search is Kiffin, right?
That's what I was just going to say.
So we
talked about this yesterday. We talked about this yesterday, right? You said there's going to be a Power 5 guy that's like, hey, maybe the grass is greener there. I was looking at the list yesterday, and I was like, I think
Thank you, because we need new names. Everybody is sharing the same names.
I think it's if there's a
he's
guy,
realistic or not, but we need somebody new to talk about.
But if that's a
throw out
guy,
Saban just to have fun.
if that's a guy, too old. We don't want. I'm just kidding.
What has he done?
If there's gonna be a guy that comes from a Power 5 school, because look at Ole Miss, the expectations at Ole Miss are weirdly high.
Yeah.
You're in the toughest division in college football. He does have Nebraska ties. And maybe he looks around and says, I think I can win in the Big Ten.
Very dog-friendly state.
Yes. He's got juice. He's got his little golden retriever.
For him to go back to the College World Series, it would force Will Bolt to, manage that new roster and get him to Omaha.
He's got his new best friend. We took a picture together at the College World Series, so we could just be buddies. He's got a whole built-in support system here.
If we throw dogs, Bielema has 2 Yorkies.
He would wreck Lincoln. He would wreck Lincoln.
You think people would like that hire though? I think people under like 50 would love the hire. I think there's a segment of the fan base that would be like, I don't know about him.
I don't think nobody has a right to be choosy around here. Look what has happened.
Sure, yeah. But I still think there's going to be people. Again, it's probably not Kiffin.
You weren't here. We will never be able to decide collectively of a candidate that we all go, yes. We could say T.O. is reincarnating himself and coming back, and people are like, no, you know what? That offense not going to work. There's really no candidate. I threw out Zach Taylor because Zach Taylor was very popular here.
Sure.
But then it's like, well, have you seen the game management with the Bengals?
Well, I've got
seen his
questions.
interaction with Burrow. But I'm just saying, of this, you're not going to get a general guy where everybody's going to go. So that's why you have to look at the athletic director and go,
we trust him.
Yeah, trust him to get it right because you have to get it right.
Well, and the funny
thing, whoever
thing,
you deliver here, you're able to, you sold the job to them.
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to sell that person to us.
Yes.
That's why on the side, there's Mickey who is doing his selling job to the fan base.
Yes, and they've
Trev
bought
doesn't
it.
need to sell him. Mickey gets the opportunity to sell himself to the fan base, while over here, you're trying to find that guy to follow what I just said.
To, again, sell on the job and sell to the fan base. I will say the ironic thing about what you just said was we had that guy. It was Scott Frost, and it did not go well. I mean, I'm sure there were a handful of people that were like, oh, I don't know. But that was as universally as accepted and excited about a head coaching hire as basically you're ever going to have anywhere.
Yeah, there were no other candidates.
So the fact that I think that should serve as a reminder to people, keep that in the back of your mind, that we all loved that hire. Nationally, locally, everybody was on board with that hire, and it didn't work out. So if you're hesitant with whoever ends up being named, just give it a shot, because we were all pretty sure about what was going to happen with Frost, and it didn't happen.
Whoever will be the next football coach at Nebraska, whether it be Mickey or somebody else, will be equipped for what Nebraska football is, with the challenges, the advantages, and the noise. All those things that come together.
Will have an AD that puts them in really good positions to be successful.
And hopefully Nebraska football will become quiet, where there just won't be noise and
no drama.
Yeah,
no drama.
Yeah, just football.
Not a reality show.
Yeah. Hasn't it been nice this week? Let's be honest. Whether you follow Nebraska or not, hasn't it been nice this week? This has been a very drama-free week.
It's been a very football week.
Yeah.
It's been about football.
Yeah.
Which
Controversy
is nice.
was saying you're a Richard.
I haven't had anybody go, hey, man, I saw Frost playing pitch in the basement of the country club. You know, hey, what do you think about that? Do you think that affected the team? We haven't had any of that.
No,
we haven't had any of that.
Now it's the OC's not wearing shoes.
But he used the word dick, so we're good.
I thought we were sticking with Richard, Gary.
Jimmy opened the door earlier. He played the whole quote.
Touche.
I apologize to our underage 1620 the zone.
Oh, they're
they
at
should be
now.
in school now.
It's
They should be
8:35.
all right.
And if they're skipping, trust me, they've heard the word before.
You guys not seen block scheduling? Like some kids don't even have class till 11. I don't know what's going on.
Some kids don't even have homework.
They do new math and
kids these days.
Well, yeah, I mean we had it much rougher. 1620 the zone.
Irrational confidence.
I've said this all along. You're going to be able to convince me that a lot of these things that could end up happening are going to work. I don't think it's... Now, this is probably it doesn't give enough credit to the people who do it. I just don't think it's that hard.
Wow. Not that hard, huh?
That they haven't been doing.
He's got those 47 games.
Damn it, I told you to not take offense to this. Just do the fundamental things, and then we'll see where this lands.
The Connor Happer Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast, presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch, from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Becoming sunny Wednesday morning with more clouds moving in during the afternoon. Most will stay dry with only a slight chance of a spotty shower east of the metro. Highs around 74. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
The Zone Hotline is powered by Los Hills Harley-Davidson, your home in the hills. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From LeBurton, AC Heating, Plumbing, and More, time-saving traffic center. We're still getting reports of that accident along 84th Street near I-80, so please be cautious if you are in that area. And then we're also getting reports of an accident near 108th and L. And then we also have a couple of more accidents, beginning with one at I-80 West near 126th Street. And then there's also another one along 168th and Dodge. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Scary Acres.
It's time for the gates to open. Scary Acres is back. Omaha's ultimate haunted attractions. Scary Acres now open. 172nd and Giles. Sponsored in part by Stereo West, Raising Cane's, and Heidi.
Malarkey shingles are durable, high-performance, impact-resistant, and beautiful. Carp's Complete Home Exteriors is a certified Malarkey shingle residential contractor. For a free estimate, call Carp's Complete Exteriors or visit carpsomaha.com.
You know those buddies who magically become medical professionals when you're not at the top of your game? The ones who say, "Come on, muscle through it," but then also say, "Hey, you should probably see my specialist," or surgery or pain meds. It's almost always false, false, and false. Athletico's physical therapists, the same therapists who work with professional athletes, can tackle those little aches and pains from the start, before they become big ones. So next time, don't believe everything you hear. Instead, start with Athletico. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com.
Bill Jones.
And Olivia.
Here again for Jonesboro's Cupcakes and Cafe. Jonesboro's is famous here at Omaha for catering delicious breakfasts and lunches for business meetings.
If I owned a business, I cater Jonesboro's every day.
Sounds good to me, Olivia.
For breakfast, I cater French toast with warm syrup and croissant donuts. That'd be a good day at work.
Go with it, Olivia. Check out our website at jonesbroscupcakes.com for catering.
Jonesboro's Cupcakes in Exarban Village.
Genesis Health Club's is celebrating its 36th anniversary, and you're invited. Join for just 36 cents and get the rest of the year for free. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen, owner of Genesis Health Clubs, thanking you for the last 36 years. Without you, we wouldn't be here, and we're here for your results. We're here to help you feel better, look better, and have more energy, and be able to enjoy all life has to offer by improving your health. Celebrate Genesis Health Club's 36th anniversary by joining today for just 36 cents and get the rest of the year for free. Offer extended. That's 36 years of results, 36 years of better mood, concentration, and focus, 36 years of crushed goals, 36 years of mental and physical strength, 36 years of members achieving their absolute best, and now it's your turn. So get fit, have fun, and celebrate 36 years with us. Join Genesis Health Clubs for just 36 cents and the rest of the year for free. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Find your fitness home at genesishealthclubs.com.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. New this year is Stefan's Country Drive. Antique cars where the kids are in the driver's seat. Plus, there's a new carousel. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is also opening a whole new part of the farm, the cider mill, with more than 50 other attractions included with admission. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is the place to be this fall. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard, Gretna, Nebraska. Now open through October 31st.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Vallis Pumpkin Patch best of all.
This is Scott Schultz from Host Coffee. 2022 marks our 50th year and business has never been better. We continue to grow and add new customers. Many employers are looking for new ideas for their staff as people return to the office. Our pantry service is a great office amenity for staff and guests. Fresh food, snacks, coffee, water, and other beverages for employees and guests. Enhance your office experience with pantry service from Host Coffee. Learn more at hostcoffee.net.
1620 The Zone.
Again, if you're headed to Piscataway on Friday, they're having a blackout. I imagine there'll be a lot of students there. I'm not sure what the environment will be like. Pretty important game for Rutgers, coming off their loss to Ohio State. They're 0-2 in the Big Ten, and against FBS teams, they're averaging 14.5 points per game. But the Barstool College Football Show will be there.
That might be
Presidente,
fun.
Big Cat will be in attendance.
Yeah, because Presidente is a New York guy, right?
Yes.
I think he's based out of New York.
Yep.
I actually don't ever see him do any sports things. I just see him on my TikTok trying pizza. That's the only thing I ever see him doing.
One bite, everybody knows the rules. Here's another little nugget about Friday night. So Greg Schiano comes back to Rutgers, and he's recruiting really well. I think they're an interesting team like next year. They're really, really young, and they can't figure out the quarterback spot. I mean, I think they're going to play Noah Vedral at some point, but Noah Vedral got injured, and he's played, I think, 5 snaps all year, and that was against Ohio State, and they were all runs. But he had started the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So they have 3 different quarterbacks that have played, but they rely heavily on the quarterback run game. They're a little bit sideways right now on where they're going. There is, the little attention that Rutgers football gets in the New York metropolitan area. People are saying this is a huge game for Greg Schiano, because Rutgers looks at this game as they're going to beat Nebraska. They're going to have a 4-2 record. They're going to be 1-2 in the conference, and it's going to help them towards bowl eligibility. That's how they're looking at Nebraska. Okay? They are looking at that opportunity. But here's another thing that just blew my mind. And again, Schiano is a defensive guy. They're good defensively.
Yeah.
They're physical. They kind of mirror the coach. Schiano can be a Richard. You saw him in the NFL when he was with the Buccaneers and, and on kneel down.
He's a little prickly.
And he ran across the field to get in Ryan Day's face the other day.
Yeah.
So he's that guy.
Yeah. The engine revs a little high with him.
So his team takes on a little bit of that, but they're extremely physical. I mean, Nebraska's going to have to match their physicality.
Yes.
But defensively, they stop the run. They play pretty good defense. And they also got a really good punter. This could be a field position game. Could be a low-scoring field position game. And Nebraska likes who they have punting. But here's a little nugget for you, Ravi. I've just given you all my nuggets today.
Love the nuggets.
Gary's Nuggets.
I had to go back and check this. Do you know that Rutgers has not won a home Big Ten game in 5 years?
Wait, is that right?
Yes.
In 5 years?
In 5 years, they have not won a Big Ten home game.
So what, 2017? Is that where? Holy cow. How is that even possible?
Well, they've been bad.
I get that, but really?
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's like a Kansas stat.
So
no
you don't
none taken. They've earned everything they've gotten. That's what makes this whole season unreal.
So you don't want to be on the other end of somebody that breaks that.
Yeah, you don't like being the slump buster, if you will, in that situation.
David says in the Equitable Bank inbox.
That's like a Whipple quote.
Well, speaking of Mark Whipple and his quote that is really about life, the Omaha World Herald editing of his quote is interesting because back in the day when Pelini dropped the chicken bleep quote, the paper ran that exact quote in the headline on the front page of the sports section.
Simpler times.
I don't remember. I don't think I was here for that.
I remember the quote. I don't remember the headline.
So they ran SH.
I don't know if they
T.
I don't know if they
Poop.
I don't know if they edited it, put like the asterisk like we were talking about or what. I don't remember the headline. I do remember the quote.
So they remove Richard after what Whipple said yesterday, and jerk is inserted.
See, again, my issue isn't that they edited it; it's that they used a word that wasn't in the quote.
That goes against journalism. You can't do that.
That's my problem. Is that it just wasn't the quote. If you want to take it out and not run the word, I get that, but
leave it blank,
expletive in brackets, like asterisks out the whole word. People can figure it out. It wasn't the quote. It just wasn't. Like, that's super weird to me.
And we haven't edited it. We played the full quote.
That's right.
Did you get that off of the Husker website?
No.
Okay, so I'm wondering if they edited it. Because TVs did.
So I watched what's funny is I watched the press conference video on the World Herald's website and they didn't edit the word out. Like, they didn't bleep the word on the video. So I don't really understand. Like, you didn't want to see it in print. What was the point there?
We've become a softer society.
What was worse, Mark Whipple dropping that word or a on-field mic on Sunday picking up Aaron Rodgers just effing?
I mean, I don't really hold anything that football players say during a game against them unless it's like a slur. Like, people swear, like they're adults. I don't care. With the Whipple thing, that in my vernacular, that's not a curse word even. So I really don't care. I understand that there's certain media practices and stuff where you can't always necessarily use that. But I don't care when adults swear. It doesn't matter to me at all.
No, the more the better.
Yeah, I'm actually pro swearing. To be fair.
Funniest is when you hear like a 6-year-old drop an F-bomb. Like, whoa.
Notice how I said adults. He took it to a different place.
How many kids you guys got between you?
None, but one of my jobs, I used to work with them.
I used to be a nanny.
So did you swear around kids? What do you pay on Saturday Night Live?
You know what? We tried to establish the line of scrimmage, run the ball, play good defense. And I mean, no filters.
He was basically Will Ferrell in that landlord sketch that he had. That's who Josh.
But you know what? We high five.
The second time in like 2 weeks, swearing has come up on the show. Like, my parents didn't swear.
Mine either.
So I didn't. But outside of my house, like, I had parents' friends who would swear.
Yeah.
So I would. I probably dropped my first F-bomb at 10.
It was about 9.
I was older.
I think, you know what? I actually do think it was around around a sports event.
Well, sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad his language would go very bad only 2 times. Well, technically 3 back then. Traffic, Texas, of course. Spurs games, bad calls, and the Cowboys, because back then, you used to care and you weren't beaten down by the owner and 8-8 forever. They used to win. And that's where I'd learn a lot of my new words.
Yeah, my parents didn't swear. Very religious. Didn't swear at all.
If they swore, you knew you were in trouble.
So I have never to this day heard my mother swear at once.
Really?
My dad, I've heard a couple times. And it's funny. He's probably not listening, but if you are, sorry, Dad. So he's from India originally, right? The accent's almost completely gone. He's been here for 50 years. When he swears, because he doesn't say those words very much, he swears in like a heavy Indian accent. So it's, even if he's furious, it is the funniest thing in the world because you hear him drop like an F-bomb with like a heavy Indian accent and then it immediately goes back to his normal speech, which just sounds like normal English to me now. I gotta say, it's only happened like 3 times in my life, but I enjoyed it immensely.
I got to answer this because, I'm going to be fair here. Saturday on the stream, that's what their login name is. Does Gary still think that Shenander should be a head coach? Followed by 1 question mark and then 1, 2, 3, 5 exclamation points.
That's a bold move. Go 5 exclamation points.
So
there.
I did say that if Nebraska defensively this year makes strides and they are a little bit better than last year's defense, which did enough.
Yeah.
Wasn't outstanding, but did enough. Then Eric Shenander could get some run as a head coach.
It came with a qualifier, though.
It came with a qualifier.
That qualifier was not met.
I was wrong. The defense was garbage, and Eric Shenander is out of a job, and they've gone back to basic 101, just the pure fact of getting people lined up correctly.
Like, hey, you cover him.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Sometimes you make mistakes, and I'll admit that was a mistake that people keep reminding me of. That's okay. Keep receipts. Saturday, I'm going to go through your history, and I'm going to keep. I'm just kidding.
I will say, I thought at the end of last year, because the defense had made a lot of progress, and it wasn't totally clear what was going to happen with the staff at one point. I didn't think it was out of the question that he might get looked at for like a group of 5 job. Like in the, I didn't think that was crazy.
No. I mean, you remember, speaking of KU, Tim Beck was in line to get the KU job, but you can't hire Tim Beck off a staff at Nebraska in 14 that gets fired.
He was a big part of that 07 staff. Recruited a lot of really damn good players.
So, but look at this. If you come to Nebraska has success and you're a coordinator, you're going to get looked at. I mean, you always wonder, how come nobody gets mentioned around here as future head coaches? Well, some of them don't come off as, hey, I want to be a head coach.
Sure.
But if you're a coordinator at a place like Nebraska and you have success, you're playing in Indianapolis.
Again,
you're
that's a big if.
You're going to get attention. And someone's going to put you on a list, and then you're going to get mentioned, and then a search firm's going to go, hey, would you be interested? That's how it works.
Carl Pelini got a head coaching job, for God's sake. Like, let's be real here.
First name I thought of, too.
This is winning. Trev's line about winning takes care of everything. You win at a place like Nebraska, they're going to build a statue for you. You're going to swim in NIL money.
Yep.
And you have a potential to get, if you're not the head coach, and maybe even if you are the head coach, a better job or your first opportunity to be a head coach.
Or
that's what it is.
If you
that's what comes with a place like Nebraska if you win and you want to be.
And if you stay at Nebraska, let's say you are the head coach, right? And you're successful. Is there any limit to the amount of money and extensions you will get if you stay at Nebraska?
No, I mean, a guy who just started got an extension. Yeah, no.
Like
now, but I do now. I think that's changing because you're going to start to spend smart money.
Yes, but let's say because usually you sign them to what 6 or 7 year deals.
I would imagine the next head coach is a 5-year deal.
5-year deal,
but Frost was 7 to begin.
Yeah, so let's say you start with a 5-year deal, right? You give them 2 years before you have to look at an extension to keep the proper number of years on the deal. But if let's say you go 7 or 8 wins those first couple of years, you're going to get the extension you want. Let's say you get 8-9 win the next couple of years. You're going to get even more money. You're going to get more extensions. If you win at Nebraska, they will pay you. And even if you don't win at Nebraska, as we've seen, they will pay you. But there's no limit to the amount of money and resources you can have here. Your coordinators are going to want to come here because they're going to get head coaching jobs. Listen, I understand there's obstacles. There's hurdles in this job, right? I don't think they're nearly what some people want to make them out to be. The only actual hurdle that I think exists, and I think it's largely negated by the NIL pool of money that Nebraska has, is in-state recruiting. To me, that is the only real obstacle this job has. And that's, again, with all the NIL money, a lot less of an issue than it used to be.
And a lot less of an issue that it used to be. The in-state talent is better.
Yes, it's gotten dramatically better as well.
Yes, there are.
You can't be losing them to other bigger programs. Nebraska should be the first choice.
The baseline is in every class, and even looking 24, 25, starting in 26, there are at least a couple of difference makers that are playing football in the state of Nebraska. So it's, for everybody says it's a flyover state and there's no talent here. You're wrong. You don't know the state. There is players that are here. Why is everybody else interested in Nebraska?
I was going to say, it's not like these guys don't go play anywhere. They go play at Power 5 schools. And you mentioned, we were talking about this yesterday. Guy from Millard North just got offered this weekend and might not even be the best player on the team.
Yep.
In 2025.
I think Pierce Newberry is
really, really good.
Got a bright future at Millard North, but Nebraska offered
Caden Vermoss.
Vermoss.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of talent in this state. And if Nebraska can get its arms around it a little bit better, then they can be in really good shape. But to me, that's the only even sort of limitation on this job.
All right. Scott Chanley's coming up in the next hour. Brandon Vogel as well on 1620 The Zone.
It's an NFL doubleheader on Sports USA. And first, we're in upstate New York as Allen, Diggs, and the Buffalo Bills host the Pittsburgh Steelers with Najee Harris on the ground and rookie George Pickens making spectacular catches. Then, we're in the desert for a bird battle as Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles fly into Arizona to take on Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. It's the Steelers at the Bills, then the Eagles at the Cardinals. This Sunday on Sports USA.
If it's the NFL, it's on 1620 The Zone.
Everyone, Josh and John here for the Fanduel Sportsbook. The football season, of course, is underway, and another big week in the NFL is almost here. And right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet for up to $1,000 with our promo code 1620. John, I'm looking towards the hated Philadelphia Eagles. They are on the road. They're playing at Arizona. Uncle, they've gotten off to a good start. Why not take Philadelphia against Arizona with our promo code 1620?
That's right. Free bets back if your first bet doesn't win by using our promo code 1620. And you can also use same-game parlays. There's live betting, which means the odds update during the contest, and your winnings get paid out fast, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Sign up with promo code 1620 for your no-sweat first bet. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Car repair is car repair. Most places you go can change your oil or fix your brakes. The difference is the experience you'll get at Omaha Car Care. We're part of the community. We were born here, and we believe that our relationship with you should be built to last. We're going to consult you, not sell you. We're going to give you a free loaner car. We're going to treat you like a valued friend that we want to continue to see in the years to come. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
No matter how dark it gets, there's always a sunrise, a warm bed, a warm meal, and hope. Sienna Francis House serves hope to those experiencing homelessness and addiction. Every day, we provide more than 1,000 meals and serve nearly 500 guests in our emergency shelter, Miracles Recovery Program, and supportive housing apartments, and help our guests navigate a path to permanent housing. Learn more at siennafrancis.org.
Brent Rasmussen of Mortgage Specialists. When is the best time to buy a house? The answer is now. It's always now. With interest rates creeping up, the real estate market has slowed down, except for the people that were planning on upgrading their home because of life changes. But the one thing we want to let people know is, even if you buy a house now at the higher rate, we anticipate rates to fall. That means you can buy your house now and refinance down the road. Lots of folks think waiting this out is a good strategy. The trouble is values keep rising, so waiting doesn't really help. Plus, if rates come back down, the market will just get busy again, meaning you'll be competing against more buyers with multiple offers, and you might not get the house that you want. We're seeing the market starting to get back to normal, which is a good thing for buyers and sellers.
Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
Hey friends, Kent Pavelka here, back with John Higgins and the Rooferees at the Weather Guard showroom. I imagine there are a lot of people out there with really bad roofs waiting for the magic moment. When's the magic moment?
Depends on what type of roof you have. It depends on how old your roof is. I have a customer right now talking about waiting for that hailstorm. Now it's leaking. There's a time where you can't wait for that hailstorm forever.
When it comes time to replace your roof, your gutters, and siding, there's only one call to make. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
The big box stores have a secret. When you walk out the door with a new purchase, that's where the service ends. At Ty's Outdoor Power and Service, you get great deals on brands like Hustler, Toro, Honda, and Steel. Plus, you get a dedicated, experienced service center. With annual maintenance and repairs, your equipment will last longer and perform when you need it most. See us in Lincoln, Omaha, or Gretna and get 10% off your residential service. Visit Ty'sOutdoorPower.com, promo code radio, or mention radio to redeem.
There's nothing quite like listening to the Kansas City Royals to the wall, leaps, on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone.
All right, we'll talk some NFL coming up next. Scott Shanley will stop by. Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From LeBurton, AC Heating, Plumbing, and More, time-saving traffic center. We're still getting reports of that accident along 84th Street near I-80, so please be cautious if you are in that area. And then we're also getting reports of an accident near 108th and L. And then we also have a couple of more accidents, beginning with one at I-80 West near 126th Street. And then there's also another one along 168th and Dodge. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Hey everyone, it's John with Saul's. Great jewelry is always in fashion, and we have it all at Saul's. From diamond bracelets to rings to earrings and those one-of-a-kind gold pieces that you can't find anywhere else, and so much more. Smart shoppers start here at Saul's.
Creighton Sports Update.
Creighton Soccer is back in action at Morrison Stadium this weekend. Men's soccer hosts St. John's on Saturday at 6:30 p.m., with women's soccer hosting the Villanova Wildcats on Sunday at noon. Tickets are still available online at gocreighton.com/tickets. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Need a pipe, vaporizers, candles, Kratom, Delta products, or e-juice and disposables or bottles? Then come to The Source, 42 degrees, and save up to 50%. With multiple locations, a great staff, what are you waiting for? By your mom's house.
This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Brookside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now. 402-671-7777.
Sure, the weather is nice and mild now, but before too long, it's going to be cold, windy, with tons of snow and ice. Is your roof ready? The time to make it ready is now. That's why Complete Industries uses quality products like Scotchgard protected Atlas Pristine shingles. Sturdy, durable, and reliable. So when the storm hits, you'll be more than ready. Complete Industries also works with your insurance. Get a free inspection and estimate on roofs, gutters, siding too.
Visit CompleteIndustries.com or call 402-935-0554.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy, better sleep, blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime, and get moving. Go cardio crazy in our clean and spacious clubs, or get down with some dumbbells and strength equipment. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, October 14th. It's glow time. See club for details.
The 2022-23 Creighton sports season holds great promise for competing for Big East and national honors, and 1620 The Zone will be there all year long. The 1620 The Jays podcast covers all of Blue Jay sports, from volleyball, soccer, and cross country in the fall to basketball in the winter, plus baseball, softball, tennis, golf, and rowing. Join me, John Bishop, along with Josh Peterson and Connor Happer each week for interviews with Creighton student athletes and coaches. It's the 1620 The Jays podcast. New episodes each Friday on 1620thezone.com and on Twitter at 1620 The Jays.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
It's past halftime. Actually, we're heading into the fourth quarter. But halftime brought to you by Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge. Just off 680 and 48th Street next to Cubby's, it's Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge.
All right, tomorrow night, the Colts and the Broncos are the Amazon Prime Thursday game. NFL college football ratings for pregame shows and games are up across the board. It has been a good start to the NFL season. Close games last week, but the story is also off the field as we welcome in Scott Shanley, who joins us now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
As a former player and now in the media, what's your reaction to how the concussion of Tua is being handled and then also is being talked about in the media?
Well, I think it was handled improperly for sure. I think you can, the fact that he even played in a Thursday night football game 4 days after sustaining a concussion that they denied and blamed and said it was a back injury. And we all know what a stumbling player looks like. We all know that is a head injury, and he should have never played Thursday. There's no way that the brain can have enough rest 4 days later. And they were setting themselves up to have this happen and to bring a dark cloud amongst their organization and the NFL. And I think just talking to other players, we're shocked that even under the old protocol, where the old protocol used to be smelling salts, and that was a concussion test. You wouldn't have went back in that game 2 games ago. So I don't know exactly what's going on in Miami, and it's a horrible look for a league that preaches player safety all the time.
So help me here as a former player that's now in the media. Like, how should the NFL media talk about concussions? A lot of the shows have a former player, but what should the discussion be about? Because I'm uncomfortable seeing Mike McDaniel try and talk about it, or Todd Bowles try and talk about it, instead of putting a team physician up there or somebody from the NFL. How do you think the NFL media, if you're not a former player that's had a concussion and been through this, or been around a player where, you know what, somebody's got to stop us from wanting to go back into the game, how do you think the conversation should be led?
Well, I think for the most part, I understand all the outrage. And, I think some players sit there and they put blame on different people in the situation. They blame Mike McDaniel for letting him play. They blame, obviously, the quote-unquote independent doctor, who the NFL, there are no independent doctors in the NFL, no matter what you're doing. And then some people are even blaming Tua. And I think there's legitimate blame to go in all three phases, because it all starts with the independent doctor. The independent doctor is hired to do a job. We as fans, we as people who know what a concussion looks like and seeing a player stumble, we're not dumb enough to believe it's a back injury. So the independent physician is there to be the bad guy, there to say, no, you cannot go back in. No, you cannot play on 4 days later. So he failed. They fired him. They took care of that. But Mike McDaniel, as a head coach, also has to know what a concussion looks like. He's been around long enough to know that a stumbling player should not go back in a game. And as a player, I think The hard thing for us as players is to feel like we are letting our team down if we don't keep playing. And for everything that's changed, I still think that we as players don't take head injuries as serious as a knee injury and an elbow injury and all these other injuries, because we think, well, if I can run, if I can throw, if I can catch, then I can fight through it. And I think we are still not wired to accept that head injuries are a legitimate reason to step out of a game.
Scott, you talked about kind of the player aspect of this, and for the most part, guys want to play and try and play through injuries and try and play through things. With that in mind, is there a good answer of how to handle these things that can reduce these situations? Does it, I mean, it sounds like a lot of it might just fall on a truly independent doctor to just be like, no, this isn't happening. Is there a better answer than that?
No, and I think the independent doctor, like I said, was put there to be the bad guy. So the doctor who was in Miami ultimately failed. He failed really his position. He failed the NFL. He failed the Dolphins. He certainly failed Tua, because you were set there to take the guy's helmet and say, no, you stumbled, you have a concussion, you're not going back in this game. Had he not gone back in that game, he could have had time to go through all the protocols and the testing and then play. If he passed it and played Thursday night and got hurt again, it would have still been unfortunate, but I don't think the outrage would have been there the same way. It's because what we all know what we saw. And then to see him down on the ground again in Cincinnati and to see his hands do things that I've never seen a guy's hands do when he gets concussed, I automatically thought for Tua, I thought, hopefully this doctor who was put in position to be the bad guy and who failed Tua didn't ruin Tua's career. I don't want to see him get another concussion. I don't want to have to see him retire way ahead of his time just because the guy didn't do his job and saved Tua from himself.
Scott Chanley joining us here on 1620 The Zone. Nick Sirianni came in and people are like, who is this guy? Jalen Hurts was going to be, just kind of a placeholder. All of a sudden, they might be the best team in the NFL. Why is it working in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I thought Sirianni, when they hired him, I thought, okay, I don't know much about the guy. He didn't have a very strong introductory press conference. For anybody ever saw that, it was a mess. And so it didn't look like they hired the right guy, but they knew what they were doing when they hired him. They fired Doug Peterson and won a Super Bowl. But then to draft Jalen Hurts, mid-round guy, and Jalen Hurts has always been a winner. He was a winner at Alabama. He was a winner at Oklahoma. But that doesn't always translate to the NFL. I give the most credit, to answer your question, has to go to Jalen Hurts. For what that team is able to do, the growth of Jalen Hurts as an NFL quarterback has been astonishing. I'm not saying he'll be a Peyton Manning or Tom Brady and stand in the pocket and pick people apart, but he doesn't have to. He is so dynamic with his legs and arm. His arm has come a million miles. He throws routes this year that he couldn't complete the last couple of years. So it's a credit to him for all the work he's done in the offseason. And then third, you got to go to the general manager and give him credit for putting pieces around Jalen Hurts. He's got A.J. Brown at wide receiver. He's got so many weapons that they've done a great job. Devontae Smith from Alabama, Heisman Trophy winner. They have weapons everywhere throughout that roster, and they've really done a good job building it back up since they won a Super Bowl.
Scott, you mentioned that with Jalen Hurts, there are some limitations there as far as maybe not being able to sit back there and pick apart a defense the way a more traditional quarterback maybe would. Does that put a ceiling on the Eagles in your mind, or do you think because of his dynamic playmaking ability, it kind of offsets that a little bit?
Yeah, the place I see Philadelphia getting in trouble is when they get into those games where they're down 14-0, when they get down 10-0, and maybe the college plays that are really hard for NFL defenses, because honestly, you don't sit there and work on college plays a whole lot. As far as the RPOs, all those little gadget plays, that is really what Philadelphia does as their main offense. You don't work on those things traditionally week in and week out. You're worried about the timing of a quarterback in a pocket throwing traditional passes. So I think Philadelphia, until they get down early and have to and can show me that, okay, we can't just RPO you because we're up by 7 or 10 points, and we can't keep you off balance. Once they have to throw, if they can throw it when they have to throw it, I think that's when I'll be a believer in them being the best team in the NFL.
Hey, we talked a lot about Andy Reid. Did Andy Reid maybe just do what you're supposed to do as a really good play designer and observer and play caller by going up to 13 personnel against that Buccaneer defense, where that, you know what that Buccaneer defense is like? they like a Rolodex of blitzes. They have these exotic looks. I mean, that's the aggressiveness of Todd Bowles. All of a sudden, the Buccaneers look pedestrian against 13 personnel.
Yeah, that's really it's what I love about the NFL, because most teams, for the most part, are evenly matched. And it's not 100%, but you have world-class athletes on both teams. And 1 week to the next, everybody can look like the greatest team in the NFL, and then 1 week later they get exposed. And that exposure comes from those coaches and his staff sitting in their meeting rooms till 1 or 2 in the morning, figuring out a way to crack the code. And Andy Reid to his credit, he sat around with his offensive staff and said, you know what, let's try 13 personnel. Let's get the matchups that we want in the run game and make them defend the run. And then we'll have mismatches with those tight ends on the field. And it goes back to John Gruden did it for years. It reminds me of Bill Belichick. These coaches like Andy Reid, Super Bowl winning coaches who can sit in their offices at night and like I said, crack the code and get them personnel that get the matchups they want is so impressive to me week in and week out.
Scott, we talked a little bit about obviously the Eagles in the NFC. Is there anybody else in the NFC that you like? Because it kind of seems like a minefield over there of just a lot of teams that maybe aren't as good as we thought they might be.
Yeah, I think the NFC really to me is wide open, and most of it goes because of the quarterback play. The AFC is loaded with quarterbacks, and it's all about who can get hot at the right time, who can stay healthy, obviously. But to me, the NFC, you would have to go with the Eagles just because the way they've been playing, and I don't really know if there's anybody else in the NFC. The Cowboys have been playing well to Cooper Rush, but how are they going to play when Dak gets back? I really think the Cowboys defense is good. As long as Aaron Rodgers is in Green Bay, they're always going to have a chance. And as long as Tom Brady's in Tampa Bay, they're always going to have a chance. But I go out to the NFC West. I think the Rams, you can't count them out. They're way too talented. They're struggling a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. But you also have to go to the 49ers. I think Trey Lance getting hurt and Jimmy Garoppolo coming back, I think entered the 49ers into the discussion of, okay, it's going to be another tough out. They could win the division, and they can beat anybody in the playoffs. So,
and I'm asking for a Niner guy to my left here. What is so special? And he wasn't the defensive coordinator. He's been there for a couple of years in D'Amico Ryans with San Francisco. But why are they so successful against Matthew Stafford? Because whenever he plays the Niners, he looks completely lost, and he's either being sacked or he's throwing a pick. Is it something that the Niners do against Stafford outside of last year's NFC Championship game, that they just have his number and they have McVay's number as well?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, the credit goes to the 49ers drafting great defensive linemen. Their defensive line seems to get after the Rams in a way that, the Rams, when you pay all these guys like Donald and Stafford and all these guys are making big money, they haven't paid offensive linemen that big of money. So I think that there's a part of the Rams that just from a matchup perspective, their line just does not match up well with the 49ers D-line. Bosa tears them apart all the time. And then you go to the second level, I think Warner and Dre Greenlaw at weak side linebacker, who's a really good linebacker, covers well in space. I just think those athletes they have in the front seven of the 49ers are a bad matchup for the Rams.
Scott, I'm going to stick on the 49ers for a minute because, again, I am a homer. But it goes back to something that Gary and I were talking about yesterday, whereas the 49ers legitimately look faster than a lot of teams on defense. But I kind of tend to agree with what you said, that most teams in the NFL are fairly evenly matched. Are our eyes playing tricks on us that the 49ers look that much faster than everybody else? Or is it a scheme thing? What's going on there in your opinion?
No, and I think that's how you identify special teams, because as you're saying, everybody has world-class athletes and they have good players, and it's pretty close for the most part. But when you turn the TV on and you watch somebody, just like when you watch the 2013 Seahawks or the 2000 Ravens or these different defenses, and you're like, wow, it looks like they're playing with 13 players out there. It's a credit to the athletes they've drafted. It's a credit to the culture they have. It's a credit to the coordinator who has got those guys to buy in to playing with effort, because it's not easy to do. And people think that's crazy. Well, people are making millions of dollars. Why would they not play hard? But it doesn't happen everywhere. You have to have the right culture. You have to have the right coaching in place. You have to have a belief system in what as a player, if I believe what my DC is calling or my OC is calling, and I can play fast because I believe 100% that it's going to work, that changes everything. And I think a lot of it just goes back to those guys in the 49ers locker room, the culture is strong. They believe they can win, and they trust their coaches.
Hey, trusting your coaches, and because you paid close attention to this game in London the other day between the Vikings and the Saints, why did it take so long for the Vikings to realize putting Justin Jefferson in motion or running jet sweep opens up the whole field and draws the attention of so many different defenders?
I know it was, we did our pregame show. We talked about the Saints and we talked about Jefferson. He's been really shut down the last 2 games, and that never happens very long with great players. Coaches are going to hear from the general manager. Sometimes the owners are going to walk down the office and say, listen, we have a special player here. Why is he not getting the ball more? It's up to you as a coach to find a way to get him the ball. So I think that's what you saw last week is tons of different formations, moved him around, got the ball in his hands. As a coach, you can find a million different ways to get the ball into a player's hands, but it's up to you to scheme it to get the matchups you want. And I think the Vikings did a really good job of that last week. And then credit to Justin Jefferson. He was playing against a good corner in Marshawn Lattimore, and he just beat him more often than Marshawn Lattimore beat him.
So how difficult is that? Like if you and they scored on a jet sweep with Jefferson, but you have to have Lattimore and Matthew, hey, Lattimore has to tell Matthew to take him. And before you can, when Jefferson's in motion, boom, the ball is snapped and he's around the corner and he walks into the end zone. Is there any way to overcome that quick communication, or is it just that's Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, those type of things. A lot of it is it's the player who's doing it, Justin Jefferson. But if you're in man defense and we used to call it rock and roll, the corner who goes in motion isn't going to be able to keep up on that speed sweep all the way across. So he's got to bump the safety, and everybody has to bump over. So if you're in man, it's a great call. Now, if it's zone defense, there's a linebacker there to contain it, or a defensive end there to contain it, because his eyes are just on the offense in general and not on a man per se. So I think they caught him in the exact right defense for that play, and sometimes that's just how it works out.
Scott, I got to ask you about the Seahawks this week they've got the Saints. Is what we've seen from Geno Smith real? I don't even know what to say about it. He obviously had kind of flamed out and settled into a backup quarterback role in the league, and then all of a sudden he gets another shot and he's putting up great numbers, and the Seahawks are I think quite a bit better than people think. Is this real? Is this smoke and mirrors? What are you seeing there?
Yeah, me personally, I don't think it's sustainable. I think he's played really, really good football. Seattle has surprised a lot of people what they've done offensively, but I don't think it's sustainable for this reason. Rarely do you see a guy who's played as much football as he has in the NFL for as long as he has automatically play his best football at this point for the next 5 to 6 to 7 years. A lot of times, if you haven't been able to be consistent by this point in your career, you're probably not going to be consistent. So I think he's played really good football. I think he was in a quarterback battle with Drew Lock, and that probably got the best out of him. But I don't think he can do it for 17 games. And a lot of it is just because I think Seattle will probably finish last in that division, maybe with Arizona. It'll be a battle between those two. I just don't think he can play that way just because I haven't seen it in his career.
Cooper Rush wins this weekend. What does that do to the hand of Dak Prescott?
Listen, I'm playing Cooper Rush until he loses. I don't know. This is the business of winning. It is not play the guy who we paid the most money to. It's not pay or play the guy who we drafted highest. If a guy's winning, you keep playing him. And if feelings get hurt, feelings get hurt. You have to keep playing the guy. Let him keep going, because it also puts more pressure on Dak. If you bring Dak back and he loses to the Rams, you're going to have people with the Coop chant in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium wanting the backup quarterback the rest of the season. So you let Cooper go until he loses.
Great stuff, Scott. We always appreciate the time. Have a great week.
All right, take care.
That's Scott Chanley, Husker, black shirt, and Super Bowl champion. We get the game of the day is the Rams and the Cowboys. Just kind of seems like a forced game, but the schedule this week isn't great.
It's not. I'm looking here, and it's
even though we get for the first time. So Green Bay is the last team to play overseas.
Okay,
it's the first time that you have a matchup with two winning teams in the Giants and the Packers in London. It's
they're
never
infringing on
before.
the Jaguars' territory out there.
The Giants don't feel like a winning team, though.
No,
I get they are. They're 3-1.
They're
off to a good
3-1, and who knows who's going to play quarterback this weekend.
But it just, I have a really hard time looking at the Giants and being like, that's a good football team.
They could have been tied for the overall lead in the NFL if the Eagles would have fallen.
You guys are going to jinx it. It's actually going to turn into a super memorable Sunday of wild. Wow, it's supposed to be a terrible Sunday. It turns into the best in the year.
Look at last week. Last week turned out. I don't this week is odd because of the structure of the games.
Yeah.
Like we need to pay more attention. We need to get more games in that 325 window.
I hate that. I have no idea
I agree.
why there's 12 games on at noon and then like 3 in that afternoon window. It doesn't make any sense to me. And let's be honest, the Red Zone channel would be way more fun if it was like evenly split.
Yep.
And you've just got like 6 straight hours of Scott Hansen doing his thing.
Because then we just get highlights from 3 to 6. Oh, yeah, earlier today.
Yeah,
oh,
because
like,
nothing's happening in the 3 games at any given time.
Yeah.
It's no good. Not a fan.
The other story in the NFL is Tom and Giselle. Page 6 has told us that they've hired divorce lawyers.
So he may start playing better now. That's like, all right, well, we've gotten the inevitable.
Hey, he looked 45 against the Chiefs the other night.
He looked
did. Have you
55.
seen the memes yet? They're pretty funny.
Yeah, and here, so those two are in the spotlight.
Yeah.
I mean, but is it the business of sports shows to discuss what may be a divorce after 13 years, which seemed on this side of the table to be lovey-dovey? You know, I think this is page 6.
Sure, yeah.
And it's uncomfortable, but then the counter argument is, well, you know what? He's a star, he's in the spotlight. It kind of goes back to something Robbie and I were talking about off air is Aaron Judge gets 62 yesterday. How much do you know about Aaron Judge? He's married, but you wouldn't know what his wife looks like. He's not out in the public very much. Tom Brady's persona is out there with his model wife. And whatever has gone on from Adam Schefter announcing that he's retiring to Brady's like, no, I'm not. to she thought she was getting her husband home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been really rocky. He doesn't look the same. He doesn't look happy. They're not churning along. He misses his buddy Gronk. I just wonder, like in the sports talking head, national sports radio, you're in Tampa, you're in New England.
Yeah.
Is it the sports world business to discuss what's going on in Tom Brady's personal life when a lot of his personal life has been public?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a little different with a guy like Tom Brady because he hasn't gone, I mean, he's gone out of his way to make his personal life public, right? Whereas a lot of guys like Aaron Judge do the opposite. Aaron Judge's wife could be in the room with us right now, and I'd have no idea that it was her.
Who's the new sales staff?
Yeah, I'd be like, who is that person? I would have no idea because I've never seen her. I didn't know he was married until you told me this morning. No idea, right? So, again, I'm sensitive to this as somebody who's been through a divorce and everything. Like I understand that these are two people going through a really big event in their life. So I understand it in that sense. And I'm not trying to, have any fun at their expense or anything like that. But at the same time, I do think it's fair to ask if it's affected him on the football field this year. Because like you said, he all of a sudden, and maybe it's just, Father Time is undefeated, but he has looked a lot different this year. There was all the stuff in the offseason and all the rumors and the things with training camp where he leaves for an extended period of time that people speculated was a family issue. I think it is fair to ask if it has affected his play this year and the team this year, because I don't think the Buccaneers are playing the way anybody would have thought.
And it might be on Sunday, the first time in 20 years that he's lost 3 in a row.
Which is a big deal. I mean, he's the greatest quarterback of all time by pretty much any measure. And this is a thing that is affecting how he plays. I don't want to be like, oh, who's going to get custody of the kids and stuff like that, but because that has no business with us. But, there is a certain amount of this that's going to affect the football of it all.
Adam Schefter is getting crushed.
Is he?
Because he was the one that tweeted that Tom Brady had retired.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was supposed to be private, or the timing of it.
Yes.
And then Tom said, whoa. I'll see you in the building tomorrow at one Buccaneer place.
I will say the memes of him being, there's some of them being like, yeah, I'm going to spend some time with my kids. And he's like, nope. Some of those memes are kind of funny.
I mean,
that's what Twitter's for, though.
Quick note, Bellevue West wide receiver Isaiah McMorris just tweeted out Texas Tech has delivered him his first Division I offer.
He has had a good year so far.
Joey McGuire.
For
He has.
For Bellevue West there. Miller North transfer.
I mean, the Big 12 loves themselves some Nebraska.
They do.
They got a quarterback coming to a Big 12 school.
They do.
Now, first D1 offer to wide receiver. They've got, Caden Helms is at Oklahoma.
But there's no players here.
Maybe Nebraska should love them some Nebraska.
I think they have looked at Isaiah McMorris pretty thoroughly. Now, Nebraska has made 2 offers in the 26 class to wide receivers.
Going deep.
See, this is going back to the last segment about in-state recruiting. The recruiting organization and evaluation, I think, in-state is better. Can it be better? Can voices that are pushing inside of the walls for Zane Flores' offer, are they going to be heard? Maybe.
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think their structure in their vetting process and evaluation of in-state prospects is better this year than it has been in the past, where if we like you, you've got an offer. We're not hesitating.
Yes.
We're not going to dangle you.
We're
We're not going to say, hey, if this guy doesn't come through, then it's yours. We've made an evaluation. You're worthy of an offer from here. We think you can play at Nebraska and in the Big Ten.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. It's also felt like in the past, you mentioned the evaluation. It seems like in the past, they maybe haven't trusted their own evaluations because it seems like they wait on guys to get other offers in state first. Because they're like, I don't know if
the Danny Kaelin one was a reactionary. Florida State offers him. Nebraska doesn't know much about him. They call him up and Mario Vidusco says, hey.
Right.
And he goes, whoa.
Right.
And then they've rekindled, whatever is going on there. They ghosted him. And now, here in the last, ironically, couple of weeks, there has been more attention.
Probably not a coincidence. But that's what I mean. Like there's been a handful of guys over the last couple years where it seems like they have Power 5 interest and Power 5 offers and things like that, where or they're borderline kind of in that group, where it seems like Nebraska, instead of being the first offer, which is what you used to see with in-state guys, Nebraska would be the first one in the door. It seems like they're almost waiting for somebody else to verify what they think.
And you look at 25 and then 2 and 26. 1 and 26 was offered when Scott was still the head coach.
Yeah.
Prince at Benson. They're the first in. So they make evaluation and you go immediately, I like that kid. He's got an offer. Like Prince is in your own stadium during the summer. You see him and go, that guy can play.
Sure.
Even as a soon-to-be freshman, you make the offer. That's where it's different. But it's too bad that wasn't happening last year, the year before, even the year before,
where you missed out on some major guys.
You could have kept some guys home.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Brandon Vogel still to come before we're done on this Wednesday edition of whatever the morning show is on 1620 The Zone.
Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Nebraska needs that underdog mentality, even if they start getting good again. And unfortunately, there's just this attitude sometimes that exists that's like, well, we've been there before, so we can get there again. Well, yeah, you can get there.
It's so many steps down
but
the road.
You've got to have that edge.
Yeah.
And you've got to also realize where you are right now, and where you are is in a very, very, very low place.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Becoming sunny Wednesday morning with more clouds moving in during the afternoon. Most will stay dry with only a slight chance of a spotty shower east of the metro. Highs around 74. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
At Dingman's Collision Center, you voted them first place in Best in Omaha for the past 17 years. So they want to say thank you for choosing the Dingman family and their incredible technicians to repair your vehicles. At Dingman's, they'd rather be the best than apologize for anything less.
The Madness Haunted House will terrify you to your very soul. Come your pants all over the 2 acres of fear at Pioneer Trail Orchard. Scream for 30 minutes until you can scream no more. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. FearTheMad.com.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Rossi Clothiers. They are celebrating over 30 years, and coming up on Friday, October the 14th, as well as Saturday, October the 15th, Rossi Clothiers, they're welcoming in Schneiders of Salzburg to showcase their 2022 and 2023 men's and ladies outerwear design event, and there will be special pricing as well. Of course, Rossi Clothier is known for the art of permanent fashion, heritage menswear collections, made-to-measure sports coats, suits coats, casual wear shoes, accessories, and more. You do not want to miss out on this event coming up on Friday, October the 14th and Saturday, October the 15th. The special pricing, going to be a great time celebrating over 30 years of timeless, elevated menswear. So you're looking for something to look good with? This is the place that you want to be. Their 30th anniversary event, Friday, October the 14th and Saturday, October the 15th. Rossi Clothiers, Rockbrook Village.
NFL Plus is here, which means no matter where you are, this is how you football. You can stream live, local, and primetime regular season games on your phone or tablet, 45-minute game replays, and more.
That's how you do it right there.
This is the NFL for every fan. This is football freedom. This is your game on the go. Wherever you are, this is how you football. Go to plus.nfl.com/radio and start your free trial of NFL Plus today. Terms and conditions apply.
The 2022-23 hockey season is finally here. Omaha Hockey welcomes Niagara University to Baxter Arena this Friday and Saturday. Tickets are still available. Get yours now at omavs.com/tix or call the Baxter Arena box office at 402-554-MAVS.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-517-1717. That's 800-517-1717. 800-517-1717. Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Since this is a radio commercial, you can't see the people standing behind me. They're the Langfeld family. Everybody wave. Oh, sorry, you can't see them because radio. Anyway, the Langfelds are the family behind Langfeld Overhead Door, where they proudly install Midland garage doors to fit any space and style, and they don't take a backseat to anyone when it comes to their service. Because if something goes wrong, it's their name on the line. So they're going to make sure it goes right every single time. Langfeld Overhead Door, 402-234-2700. 1620 The Zone.
So last night, everybody's telling me, hey, you got to watch this game. You got to watch this guy. You got to watch both of these guys. And so I watched last night. And sometimes when you watch a basketball game, Robbie, especially this time of the year, and it's prospects and it's European team, you're like, yeah, lived up to the hype. If you are anti-tanking in the NBA this year, after watching the top two prospects play last night, you're out of luck because there's going to be a lot of DNP. I imagine after the All-Star break in the NBA to try and get the number one pick, which is solidified, there ain't going to be nobody that knocks old Victor out of the number one slot. I was entertained last night, but once again, we saw a guy that is the Ralph Sampson, Chet Holmgren, and on another level, absolutely no comp for Wembayama.
Yeah, there's not. There's not any. He's never existed before in the history of,
which is wild.
Of basketball. I mean, you could say, okay, he's got a little bit of a dash of Ralph Sampson, right? But Ralph Sampson didn't handle the ball like Victor does. He doesn't have the jump shot the way that Victor does. It's so weird to see a guy that tall look natural shooting a ball that way. I mean, we think KD is a freak for this, right? KD is almost a full half foot shorter than Victor Wembanyama. Like that's crazy to think about.
And for those that don't know, 7'5".
Yeah, he's enormous, which to put in perspective, Chet Holmgren, who also looks like an alien, is only 7'2". He is that much bigger and I think more athletic than Chet Holmgren. And people are going to focus on the offense because it's easy to, right? Where this person is a transcendent potential force is on the defensive end of the floor, because
that's where I went.
they don't even know how to officiate him. They look at some of the things he does, and they're like, I think that's a goaltending because that can't possibly be legal.
There were a couple closeouts last night where he came from a long way on the baseline to the other side, from one side of the rim to the other rim, just like that.
Well, and he'll go from, I think his first block of the night, he was at the wing playing help defense and came to the other side of the rim and got a block on a layup. The dude is a complete freak. And listen, it's the same thing I said with Chet last year, because he's, and I don't mean this as an insult to Chet because I really like his game. He's a poor man's Victor Wembanyama. The only reason that those two guys would not succeed is if their bodies don't hold up, which is the question mark, because you're looking at a unicorn body type there, right? That's why people are more comfortable with like a Scoot Henderson sometimes. Not that he's going to go first, because he's not.
Because he'll go two.
He'll go two, and deservedly so probably. And in most years would probably go one. But he's a body type that we understand in the NBA. That's the only hesitation with Victor, and it's not going to be nearly enough of a hesitation to not take him number one and to not waste your entire season to try and get to him number one. He's that special of a talent. And honestly, I thought he was super fun to watch yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first full game I've seen him play. Super fun.
And then they play again Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, and I'll be tuned in.
Yeah.
You mentioned Ralph Sampson and Chet. My mind first went to injuries. So yes, that's exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Ralph Sampson look at a little bit. He had a great rookie year.
Yeah.
86. He helps lead the Rockets to the finals.
He was the first guy that was that tall, and he was so skinny. You were like, whoa.
Which it matters less now.
Yeah, and he didn't have the same skill set as a Holmgren and Victor. But it's October 5th. He's the number one overall pick in the NBA draft next summer. There's not even a debate.
No,
there's no one going to dislodge him whatsoever.
This is a LeBron level of certainty with the number one pick.
It's fun to watch. There's absolutely no comp. He's a generational talent.
Yeah, he's, like I said, he's a total extraterrestrial. We've never seen anything like this.
See,
I had to watch the highlights 3 times just to be sure I was seeing what I was seeing.
You know how this is all going to play out, don't you?
How's that?
With tanking, is the Knicks are going to be in a great spot and not
get him. He's going to end up in OKC, and you're going to have Chet and Victor starting next to each other.
Brandon Vogel's coming up next.
Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620, The Zone.
Genesis Health Club's is celebrating its 36th anniversary, and you're invited. Join for just 36 cents and get the rest of the year for free. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen, owner of Genesis Health Clubs, thanking you for the last 36 years. Without you, we wouldn't be here, and we're here for your results. We're here to help you feel better, look better, and have more energy, and be able to enjoy all life has to offer by improving your health. Celebrate Genesis Health Club's 36th anniversary by joining today for just 36 cents and get the rest of the year for free. Offer extended. That's 36 years of results, 36 years of better mood, concentration, and focus, 36 years of crushed goals, 36 years of mental and physical strength, 36 years of members achieving their absolute best, and now it's your turn. So get fit, have fun, and celebrate 36 years with us. Join Genesis Health Clubs for just 36 cents and the rest of the year for free. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Find your fitness home at genesishealthclubs.com.
From sports medicine to spine, bone, and joint problems, Nebraska Medicine is your home for the region's most comprehensive orthopedic care. Our specialists have the unmatched expertise to diagnose and treat common and complex problems, with surgery being a last resort. With multiple locations, our leading care is miles ahead, yet close to home. For orthopedic advances, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/ortho.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
If COVID taught us anything, it's that local matters. Local shops, local restaurants, even locally brewed beers. October is Drink Local Month. So the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild is challenging beer, seltzer, and cider drinkers like you to put your palate through its paces and drink local brews. Because seriously, Nebraska is really on the cutting edge when it comes to brewers who think outside the box. And besides, you really want to be drinking what they drink over in Iowa? Didn't think so. Click drinklocalnebraska.com.
Wondering about possible wind or hail damage? Call Shamrock Roofing first. If you have it, we'll find it. One call does it all. Call Shamrock Roofing today, 913-850-6556, or online at shamrockroofer.com.
The hot weather is over and fall begins at 42 degrees, and do we have the deals for you? Let's start with a large selection of pipes starting at $9.99. Looking for a quality vaporizer? We have a large selection from $24.99. Shopping for Kratom CBD candles, e-juice in bottles and disposables? Delta products up to 50% off with multiple locations, the friendliest, most knowledgeable, and professional staff. Why shop anywhere else? 42 degrees, the source. By your mom's house.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
At Lanahaw, our homegrown trees boast the most vibrant colors of fall, reds, yellows, and oranges. Shop our garden center today for the best selection of plant material and seasonal decor. When you think fall, think Lanahaw, 192nd and Center.
Main wreckage on the south side of the tracks. Report of male driver, late 20s, severe injuries.
Copy that. Can you see the vehicle?
No, it's way up there. I heard a witness say the stop arm was down, but he tried to beat the train anyway.
Too many drivers are killed crossing railroad tracks, even though they know a train is approaching. What they don't know is, even after it breaks, a train can take up to a mile to stop.
Requesting ambulance stretcher to shuttle a crash victim back to the road.
Copy.
Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
1620 The Zone.
Just judging on Twitter, this seems to be a bad day for Jimbo Fisher. Is this going to be the first weekend in college football in a long time that collectively the country is rooting for Alabama in the Alabama-Texas A&M game at Tuscaloosa?
That's a good question. Is Jimbo hated enough to make that happen?
His offense is certainly hated. His agent that got his guaranteed deal is beloved but hated at Texas A&M, as we welcome in Brandon Vogel from Hail Varsity, the magazine, hailvarsity.com. Do you get the general sense that this is the lone, very rare weekend of college football where the country is cheering for Alabama?
Yeah, I think it might be. I know personally I've been looking forward to this game since they had their dust up over the summer, because I thought, I've been a little bit surprised that A&M hasn't been a little bit better, but when that happened, I thought this probably isn't going to go well for the Aggies, and I still don't think it's going to go well for the Aggies. But between Jimbo Fisher and their struggles this year, Michigan State's flagging a little bit, which doesn't totally surprise me. Paul Chryst getting fired with no regard to buyout. Same thing happening here at Nebraska. Like, it's always kind of been the case, but I think we frequently forget it. Money just doesn't matter in college football. There just always seems to be more of it somewhere.
Extensions and money, they don't matter. Some of it's just paper, and some of it truly is just paper. All right. So we've been, the Mark Whipple conversation yesterday, which is always good because it's just real talk. There's no coach speak. He's been around the block. He tells you what he's feeling. I think he'd be a great storyteller if that's what he wanted to do. But he talked about winning the West, and Nebraska, they're in a tie for first place. There are 6 other teams. They only played 2 games, but they're in a tie for first place. As you look at the Big Ten West, where Wisconsin is 0-2, and now they have Jim Leonhard entering the conversation to try and turn around their season, and you've got Purdue off a win at Minnesota, you got the struggles at Iowa, all of a sudden Brett Bielema is making noise. Where, in your opinion, Brandon, does Nebraska fit in the chaotic Big Ten West?
I would put them in the middle group of teams that there's some reason to think they could jump up there and go on a run. I still think your favorites at this point, it's even hard to identify the top group. I mean, based on last week's result and the fact that not just that Purdue won at Minnesota, but won 20-10 against an offense that was averaging 45 points a game. Now, granted, not against the toughest non-conference slate. I thought Whipple nailed it, and that's kind of been my response to most of hearing him talk, which maybe you'd expect for a guy who's coached as much football as he has. Like, I think Nebraska has an offense that can have it in every game from here on out, minus maybe Michigan. That's the only one on the schedule that you look at and just say, probably not. That one's going to be a tough putt. All of the others, this might be the last time this season that Nebraska is favored. It wouldn't shock me if that were the case, but it also wouldn't shock me if things continue to play out and you're favored against Wisconsin. The Illinois game will be close. So it's gonna be pretty standard Big Ten stuff in that you're in a ton of close games. The difference this year is there's no clear cut favorite in the West at the moment, as far as I can see.
Brandon, let's be positive here for a minute and project. Let's say they do kind of find themselves in a position where they are still in it in the West, say a month or 6 weeks from now. What does that have to look like between now and then in order for them to find themselves in that position?
I think you need the same effort you saw defensively against Indiana. Now, Indiana was not a well-oiled offense coming into that game, and obviously missing its top two receivers for a team that was throwing the ball more than 50 times a game has to be noted. But Nebraska got off the field on third downs. I thought that was a real key to that game going in, and they won that emphatically. And this offense, it's tough to do in Big Ten play, but it's got to stay where it's at. It's averaging 31.4 points a game. That's probably going to come down as you play exclusively Big Ten opponents from here on out. But if you can stay close to that number, you're giving yourself a chance. I kind of look at this Nebraska team with where they're at and everything they've gone through, where, okay, maybe take the Michigan game out of it, but the more games you can win 35-31, I think is a game that's to Nebraska's liking. And that's a significant challenge, but that's how I see it going. Like, Nebraska beats Rutgers on Friday. You got that Purdue trip, which won't be easy, but go into that bye week on a 3-game winning streak, it's game on.
So there's the optimism of, and I'm with you on the offense because it could produce 1,000-yard rusher, all-time single-season reception leader, whatever numbers Casey Thompson is putting up. I'm going to go over to the defensive side of the ball. And we know the impact that Bill Busch had just by simplifying stuff, cutting down on the way plays are called so that it's quick, guys can get lined up, and then there's the snap and they're not caught off guard, and then they just do their job. But some of the guys on defense, we saw that they looked a lot more comfortable. Ravi brought up Luke Reimer. Ty Robinson looked a lot more calmer. Did you at any point Saturday night, and he didn't play poorly, but he wasn't like super noticeable. What's your thoughts on how O'Shawn Mathis has played for 5 games?
Yeah, he's an interesting one. I was actually, because I had a similar thought earlier this week, and I was like, well, let's go look at his numbers. He's higher in tackles than I would have thought coming into the year, and lower in tackles for loss / sacks. So, and maybe some of that's how Nebraska's choosing to use him. Maybe some of that's because they kind of got 3 guys at that spot between Nelson, Tanner, and O'Shawn Mathis. But he hasn't been the splash player I think I expected to see based on what he did at TCU. And, last year was kind of a year at TCU where he faded into the background a little bit. Still a really good player. I think everything that was said about him coming into this year is merited. It's just odd that we haven't seen, it's been tough to notice his impact on these games. And I think for a player like that, you kind of expected to notice him a little bit more.
Brandon, moving forward with this defense, how much of what we saw against Indiana do you think is translatable for the rest of the schedule?
I think a good amount of it. So, I mean, this Rutgers offense has scored 66 points against Wagner, which is a really, really poor team at the moment. And beyond that is averaging 14 points against FBS opponents. Beat Temple 16-14 without scoring an offensive touchdown. So the defense is kind of what you'd expect from Greg Schiano. They're active, they're stout, and that's good. And special teams is pretty good. This offense, like, if you can make them drive the field, it's going to be a struggle for Rutgers more often than not. So I think that's a key to this. Nebraska's defensively, even going into the Indiana game, had done like a decent job at kind of limiting big plays. It's about average in those numbers versus kind of the down-to-down success rate where it is far below average. And I think that's the path forward. That's kind of how Nebraska did it last year. And it may have just taken them, a little bit of simplification and really just getting a couple games under your belt, given what the veterans that you lost on that side, to kind of get back to that. And I think that's a workable path going forward, because you look at Michigan's offense looks pretty dangerous at this point. Purdue, not totally sure, but give them the benefit of the doubt. And Minnesota's offense has looked pretty good to this point, but schedule-wise, with what Nebraska has left, I think this defense can stick in some games and can give Nebraska a pretty good shot.
Player-wise, not coach-wise, player-wise, 5 games in, who's made the biggest impact to you?
Ooh. It's tough to, it might be Trey Palmer. As a guy who's come from LSU, who they had a ton of talent there, hadn't made, he wasn't one of their top line guys as a receiver specifically. Boy, has he been that for Nebraska. So he would probably be first on my list. Anthony Grant's got to be there. Nebraska's been looking for a workhorse running back since the end of the 2018 season, and he is definitely that. And then, Casey Thompson's probably running for show in that race. He's been a little up and down. He bounces back from everything he's endured, which he talked about, and I thought talked about pretty eloquently this week. It's been a little bit of a strange split for him. He's been really good in the first half, not so good in the second half. So we'll see if that evens out a little bit. But those 3 guys, 3 transfer additions, I think would be top of my list.
Has he been better? Speaking of Casey, because, you look at Trey Palmer, he's having 36 catches, 480 yards. We're 5 games in. He's on pace for 84, 85 catches, and the record is 70. But are you, now that we're getting to see Casey more, and I absolutely agree with what you said, is Casey a better 20-yard down the field thrower than you thought Nebraska was getting?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's been a little bit better than expected. And I guess my expectation for him coming from Texas was, maybe you're not getting a ton of wow, but you're getting a pretty steady and calm quarterback. And I think that has remained true. But I think his ceiling has raised a little bit for me, getting to watch him play for Nebraska specifically. So, if Trey Palmer is way better than maybe I would have expected, and Anthony Grant's a little bit better, again, I think Casey Thompson's right with that group. He's been, it hasn't been the flashiest, but I think he's been the quarterback Nebraska has needed.
Brandon, you mentioned a few guys there that you thought had been better than you were expecting. If Nebraska is to go on a little run here and get some momentum, who do you think they need more out of than they've gotten in the first 5 games?
I thought Ty Robinson's game against Indiana was encouraging. He's a guy where you hope he can build on that. You need not just because he got a sack, but you need kind of, I think, a leader on that interior defensive line to emerge. And he would have been the best bet for that coming into the year. And I think he's still the best bet. So you hope that can continue. Luke Reimer is another one, and he played his best game, I think, against Indiana. And he was the guy you were counting on to be one of your best players on that defensive side. So if that can continue, I think really, I guess broadly, you could almost say some of those veterans on the defensive side didn't have the greatest start to the year, and that was reflected in Nebraska's result.
Yeah. Brandon, as always, we appreciate it. Thanks for the insight. Enjoy Friday in New Jersey.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
Quick thing here. We're going to talk more tomorrow. Jaravi's back in tomorrow. We'll get into more about O'Shawn Mathis. Not necessarily the splash plays, which you expected sack after sack, but there is subtle things that I think he has done well. But there's also part of the question that you just asked about the linebacker. So Reimer and Henrich are going to be the frontline guys. Ernest Hausman has dropped way back.
Yep.
Ernest Hausman didn't play against Indiana. A guy that I would like to see who, boy, he runs his mouth. I mean, he runs it at the opposing team. I'd like to see Maga Clements play more, but I don't know where you would fit him in.
Sure.
Because you're going to have to sit one.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that, he got, I think, 20 snaps the other night. Because you brought Kolarvik back into the mix at that position.
Yep.
But I think Maga Clements, I'd like to see him more moving forward.
He's a really interesting athlete.
But at whose expense?
Yeah, that's the question.
Boy, he taught. I mean, if you isolated him, he does not shut up.
Can we mic him up?
I mean, he like Alvin Mack in the program.
Yeah. All right. Thanks to Scott Shanley, Brandon Vogel, all of you that joined us. Good discussion today. Wow.
What do we
Hold
got?
on, I got to read this real quick.
Okay.
Matt, this is from Sipple on 3. I got to log in. Matt Davison is going to head up a new NIL operation at Nebraska.
So he'll no longer be officially
don't know.
in
Don't
the
know.
athletic department?
Don't know. I haven't scrolled down enough. We're out of time.
Tune in tomorrow.
That's a tease.
Well, that's kind of an interesting twist. Talk to you tomorrow at 6.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Email Sharp and Betting on the Equitable Bank inbox with whatever's on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable.